Boom. Hey, folks, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It's been a chaotic day if you've been watching court, which I know you have, or at least most of you have. I feel like most people watch this sort of during the day and then come for let's talk about the highlights. But I also just like to sort of try to be thorough because not everybody can watch it during the day. And yeah, also I have a snack. I might be weird because my snack is asparagus. So, have me and Nick hugged it out? I don't even know what that's referring to. All right. So, what's happening today? Well, Jen McCabe is testifying, and Jen McCabe is kind of pivotal to the defense case, kind of pivotal to the Commonwealth's case as well, because Jen McCabe is either, depending on sort of who you're looking at there, either she is like this evil person who's masterminding a whole plot against Karen Reed, or she's a innocent sainted victim. So, anyway, that's why my thumbnail sort of has Jen McCabe as angel or devil. So, we'll talk about how this how it went, what all went down. So yeah, that's it should be a lot of fun. We should be going well on that. So, and I just popped my shoulder, something fierce. Okay. I see somebody saying, first of all, have I looked into portable mini houses? Yes, most of them are fiendishly expensive. And before we get started, I will roll this. Volka is saying, just finished day 5 coverage, so I'm going to be replay crew for yesterday and today, but still wanted to say thank you for this coverage. Also wondered if tiny house might be an option for your land. It is an option. It's just a matter of figuring one out. I also saw somebody in the chat was complaining that they had turned from green to gray, which means that their membership expired. So if anybody feels like helping them out, let them know. All right. Let's oh wait, I should probably juice up the audio. Let's say 300 is probably pretty good. Somebody's asking, is Mrs. Runkle feeling better? No, the opposite. She's been feeling worse today, but yeah. Oh, this is a good place to start. Have I talked about the Turtleboy thing? Not yet. Not yet. So maybe we should do that. I kind of owe you guys talking about the Turtleboy affidavit. And that one is a whole wild thing. It is crazy. So we'll have a look at that. We're not going to go over it in too insane detail, but we'll have a look at it. And we're going to do this. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. And thank you, Laura Christine, for the 10 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. All right. I see teacher is trying to stir up some trouble. So let's talk about Turtleboy. I haven't actually seen his hearing today. What happened at his hearing today? What happened at his hearing today? Well, let's look at the affidavit. Almost accidentally shared my home address. That would have been bad. So, affidavit of blank. Affidavit of blank. Wonderful. So that's a, that's a great sort of start. There's a whole lot of redactions on this one, and if you're wondering, hey, are we going to get to see this unredacted? Probably not anytime soon. And I see Turtleboy has a short recap of his hearing up. I'm not going to jump to his screen, so so now comes the undersigned blank on oath, and I just want to say here, this this whole thing is absolutely wild. Wild. Now, it's wild in the sense of the internet meme. You've probably heard the internet meme of big if true, right? And the if is doing a lot of heavy lifting. This one is big if true, but we'll see. So, my name is blank. I am of age and competent to make this affidavit. I've been friendly with Catherine Peter, hereinafter Peter, for close to a year. Now, Catherine Peter has another nickname, which we're not going to repeat here, or at least I'm not. But she is a controversial figure. She goes by, I think, Masshole Mafia on Twitter. And she is sort of involved with all of these things. So, yeah. So, she notes, I have had multiple conversations and face-to-face interactions with Peter. Peter volunteered information to me about the Karen Read case countless times throughout our friendship. I could believe that. I don't think if you've ever seen Catherine Peters' interactions online, I don't know that she seems to talk about anything else. So it seems that she's got a bit of a one-track mind. So all factual representations below are from what Peter told me about her involvement in the Karen Read and Aidan Carney cases. So they allege during Karen Read's first trial, she was in regular communications with ADA Adam Lally. At one point prior to jury deliberations, Peter met with Adam Lally for lunch. Okay, so far not a big issue. And then it's going to become a big issue. So, during this lunch meeting, Adam Lally told Peter that he knows the foreperson who is a retired police officer, and he, the juror, is guaranteeing a mistrial. This is what was verbally reported to me by Peter. Now, note here, this is multiple stages of hearsay, because it's Adam Lally says to Peter, says to unnamed person, says to court. And really, if we want to avoid hearsay, it needs to be Adam Lally says to court in one step, or possibly Adam Lally says to person who says to court. But this is a lot of steps. However, in the big if true angle, if this is true, if this turns out to be accurate, that's disbarment territory, right? That is absolutely disbarment territory if if somebody was there. One second. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but the dogs are dogging. One second. All right. So what was going on back there is that Mrs. Runkle has stepped out of the house. And so Potter and Zora thought that they were left alone in the house. And so they were like howling downstairs. And so I just had to yell at them and be like, I'm still here. And they're like, oh, we haven't been left alone. We have adult supervision. So yeah. put it this way, as a lawyer, if I know a potential juror when they get up on the on the veneer, I'm like, no, I know this juror. They have to be excluded. The Brits are complaining about the phrasing. Okay. So, I would have an obligation to let the court know that I know this person and they can't be a juror, right? The other, what is it? They don't yell loud enough to be heard outside the house. The other thing on this is that if you somehow come into contact with a juror, I mean, put it this way. If I was like midway through trial and a juror like keyed my car or like, accidentally scratched my car, I'd be like, listen, I don't want to know. I don't need to know your insurance information. Bye. This never happened. You just don't want to talk to a juror, right? At all. Because I'm a lawyer, when I was there for the Depp trial in in Virginia, I was being very careful that I did not because there's this one area where you could stream from, and I'd be very, very careful that I would not be anywhere near the jurors because I didn't want them to hear my thoughts. I didn't want the jurors to accidentally come on screen. None of that business. So, yeah, the notion that he would have had a conversation with a juror and the juror would have communicated a plan for what to do is, how do I put this? It is so big. It is such a huge allegation that it is very hard to believe. How do I put this in allegations? It's not like, hey, your buddy says that he went to a club and saw like famous celebrity. It's actually more like, hey, your buddy tells you that he went to a club, saw a famous celebrity, and then like did coke with the famous celebrity in the bathroom, and then like the celebrity gave them his car or something like that, right? Just something where it's like, this is so unusual that I find it to be very very hard to believe. So the next one is, she told me she's paid $1,500 each month via Cash App for her assistance in the Karen Reed and Aidan Carney prosecutions. If that's the case, that would have to be something that would be disclosed. And if that wasn't disclosed, that would be something that might be an issue. Michael, I might cover that trial. We'll see. So that one is, yeah. Peter believes that Karen Reed is innocent, but she has to play the game. I interpreted this to mean Peter's role is to publicly promote and advocate on social media that Ms. Reed is guilty. Peter opined to me that if anyone killed John, it was blank an asshole. Now, here's the thing. The blank an ass, like, if anyone killed John, it was blank an asshole. And I'm like, okay. Why is it that blank is not narrowing it down in this trial? Because basically everybody in this trial is an asshole. I'm like, this could be anybody. This could really be could be whoever. So Peter is very close with Hank Brennan. I don't believe that anybody is very close with Brennan, and has had multiple conversations and meetings with him. I have personally heard Peter on the phone with Hank Brennan. I could believe he might have been on the phone, but I don't think he's I don't believe that he's very close with anybody. During a phone conversation between Peter and Hank Brennan, I don't know what that is, but somebody trying to call. that I was present for and personally recognized Hank Brennan's voice. He does have a distinctive voice. Peter told him that her people leaked it to the media, referring to the federal investigation being over. As of April 15th, Peter is not talking directly to Hank anymore. We're using a third party to communicate now, which is interesting because Hank was like going on about like this through a third party thing. So Peter states that she's untouchable because of everything she's doing to assist the prosecution, and that no matter what violations I'm charged with, Morrissey is keeping me out of jail. Okay. Peter asked me to go stalk Karen Reed in the seaport with her and stated that Karen Reed stays at the Omni Hotel. She stated to me that we could take photos to sell to the Daily Mail and that she's done that before. Peter informed me that Jennifer McCabe bought her brand new sectional as compensation for her assistance. Peter was told by Jennifer McCabe that Jennifer McCabe has informed Michael Morrissey that she is not testifying unless Turtleboy is in jail. Well, Turtleboy is not in jail, and she's testifying. Now, here's the thing. Michael Morrissey informed Jennifer McCabe that he would then have to subpoena her and Jennifer McCabe. And Jennifer McCabe then told Michael Morrissey, then we won't say what you want us to say. So, I've had witnesses tell me that they're not going to testify. And the thing is if witnesses say I'm not going to testify, I'm happy to subpoena that witness and say, well, you got to testify. And then when they're like, I'm not going to show up, I'm like, cool. I will throw you in jail. So, yeah. Now, the interesting thing is that Mr. Carney, Turtleboy, had a whole thing where they tried to revoke his bail today. And, yeah. Warning, content creators Ute is copy striking everywhere. Natalie's stream just struck. What would they be striking over? So, yeah. All right. So, Peter got rid of her phone the day after Aidan Carney announced on his live show that he was looking to get personal communications of Michael Morrissey. Peter said to me, they will never get the communications between me and Morrissey. The day that Peter showed up to protest the Karen Reed trial, Peter informed me Jen McCabe paid me for a show of support. On March 16th, Peter told me that she went to meet with Michael Morrissey and Jen McCabe at an undisclosed location in Braintree. When Peter returned home, she had a manila envelope in her hands. A manila envelope could be anything. Anything. They're implying cash, but yeah. The last manila envelope I sent out had a letter that had a picture of a monkey. Oh, apparently they're trying to strike over. Apparently they're striking over the pool feed. Ooh, that's yeah. If they want to strike me over the pool feed, I will go to war on that. So Peter has informed me that she's seen emails that are subject to a protective order between the Karen Reed prosecution team and Jennifer McCabe. It would have been really nice if you could have actually gotten some of this stuff, right? Some of these things. Peter reported to me that upon request of Hank Brennan, she provided the spreadsheet of all the free Karen Reed Facebook supporters to the Commonwealth for this upcoming trial. Peter told me that Hank Brennan is providing information to the federal authorities regarding Karen Reed and Aidan Carney because he wants them in jail for the trial. You are vastly more likely to get convicted if you are in jail when your trial comes up. So, yeah. Peter told me she's going to start rumors about jurors being afraid to serve because Turtleboy will go after them. And everyone is working overtime to make sure the Turtleboy can't be in the courtroom for the trial. Now, this is interesting because this one is kind of predicting the past, because by the time this came out, we'd already seen the thing where they tried to kick Turtleboy out of the courtroom. Peter admitted to me that she created the image of Karen Reed and Alan Jackson embracing that was then given to the Daily Mail. In early January, Peter and I were discussing the Lindsay Gaetani case against Aidan Carney. I mentioned something about Gaetani being pregnant at the time, and Peter interrupted me, saying Lindsay was never pregnant. I'm aware that Peter and Gaetani were close friends in the past and worked together against Mr. Carney. I understand that I am not represented by any attorneys connected to the Aidan Carney or Karen Reed defense teams. There's no conflict of interest because I know that I'm not represented, and I'm not being coerced or compensated, and I'm doing this of my own free will. Signed under the pains and penalties of perjury. Witnessed by, and they reveal the witness's name. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This one is wild. Like, it is crazy. It is bizarre to me that the allegations that are being made. And I can tell you, in any other proceeding, I would 100% throw the I'd throw this out. I would just say, like, this is some garbage. But it's coming through Retrial. Now, Retrial, I assume, is going to pay some attention, and is probably, like, I hope he's checked the receipts, because if he filed this without checking any receipts, he'd get in potentially a lot of shit. I don't think that's his style. Guys, we're at 2 out of 10 on this goal. That is sad. The other thing is that this trial has been so wild that it becomes maybe. It becomes okay. So, let's talk a little bit about anonymous tips, because this is kind of not really an anonymous tip, but it's a tip, right? So, let's say I'm a police officer, and I get a tip, and this guy says, listen, I am deeply embedded with, whatever criminal organization, and I have information for you about, about this, this criminal organization that I work for. And they say something like, listen, I'll provide, the information on this if you send me, I don't know, $50,000. So the police are like, well, do we want to send this guy the $50,000? Yes, I'm eating raw asparagus. And so they may need to decide that, but they also need to decide if this tipster's information is going to be good enough to get a warrant. And similarly, the court may need to decide if this tipster's information is good enough to get a warrant. So there's a bunch of things that have been considered in the past as to what a tip, when a tip is reliable. So the first one is, does it happen face-to-face? Is there a situation, and it doesn't have to be face-to-face, but just a situation where you can assess the person's credibility. It's easier to lie to somebody via text, for example. That one, I don't know. I assume that Retrial probably had a face-to-face with this person, but I don't know. It's not actually detailed in here, so I'm going to give that one a wash. The next one is, could the person providing the tip be punished if they lied? Could they be in some way held accountable for bullshit? And in this case, we have affidavit of blank, like an actual name though, and Retrial would have like gotten the ID of this person. And so ultimately, this is a situation where I think that criteria seems to have been met. If this person is bullshitting, they could theoretically be charged with perjury. Next one is the content somehow secret? Is it only available to somebody who has access to secret knowledge? I'd say yes. There are several details here that appear to be, secret knowledge. Do they say that they recently witnessed this? Is their information current? Is their information direct? They say it's current and direct. But one of the big ones is, can it predict what's happening? And so, as an example, let's say I'm that informant on the criminal organization, right? And I say, and I'm trying to convince the police that I have good information. I might say, listen, police, you need to know there's going to be a robbery at, there's going to be a break-in at this particular location. Here's the address. And the police are like, okay. So they stake out that location. And sure enough, 4 guys show up with, crowbars and, a angle grinder and all sorts of things. So, yeah, I've predicted the future. And because I've predicted the future, that tells us that this is accurate. Now, it's really interesting that they're trying to revoke Carney's bail. And that was kind of predicted here. So, I can't say that this is true. But I also can't say that I reject this entirely. I can't say, hey, this is complete bullshit. What I can say is, God, I want to see the receipts on this. Because this is, if this affidavit is true, like if everything in the affidavit is true, and we have hit a goal, so I've got to open a beer. That is the deal here. This will suddenly jump to being the trial that gets covered in all of the law school texts, because this would be a trial that would be like, it would make the top 10 top 10 most corrupt trials. It would end careers. It would have people potentially going to jail for a long time. So we'll see. You should have Betterow on your show. I would love to have Betterow on the show. I don't think Betterow could talk about this. So somebody said, is it a good beer? It's Innocent Gun, which is a good beer. So I don't know. I want to see if this lands. I want to see if this, if this ends up being a thing. All right. So let's dive into this trial here, because this one is this is a whole interesting one. So here we go. And we're going to want to skip past the
I want to ask you
skip past to when they actually start.
Independent research or investigation into this case. Everyone said yes.
And
did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left? Yes.
Maybe we'll go to 1.25.
Everyone said no, I should get it. Thank you very much. Could we have Ms. McCabe back, please?
We'll get her on the stand. Now, I'm wondering if she watched this at all, because she is very much differently dressed today. She's not flashing the giant crucifix this time. Now she's dressed to not flaunt that to the jury. I wonder if somebody talked to her and was like, you cannot do that. You can't Like, what the hell? Or sorry, the cross. People were giving me crap about cross versus crucifix, but yeah, now that's been tucked away. It was really sort of jarring to me before, but yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before you take us back to Fairview Road, I want to ask you a couple of questions about John's house at Meadows. Are you familiar with his house?
Yes.
Have you seen the front of his house before?
Yes, I have.
Are you familiar with his driveway?
Yes.
Are you familiar with whether there's any surveillance system at Mr. O'Keefe's house?
Yes.
Can I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. McCabe, I'm showing you what has been.
Yeah, I always tell the military guys. So every once in a while, military guys get charged with something that they get charged with outside of the military system, and so they'll be charged with like stealing a truck or whatever. And I always tell them, like, don't show up in your full uniform, because sometimes you get the military guys who show up in like the full military outfit. And I'm going, don't do it. Because if you get a judge who served, the judge will absolutely go to town on you for pulling that move. So.
Previously marked as Exhibit 6. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
That's John O'Keefe's house.
Could we provide Exhibit 6 for the jury, please? On that screen, is that Mr. O'Keefe's home?
Yes.
Show me what's been marked as Exhibit 8. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Oh. That's not the button I wanted.
That is the side of Mr. O'Keefe's house, the two garage doors.
We're going to try 1.5 because they're pretty slow.
Looks, is this a ring camera right here? Looks.
Is that what John O'Keefe's side of his house looks like?
She does have nice hair.
Yes.
We're not going to go through one-to-one. No, we are going to cover a lot of it.
Yes.
What is it?
It is the driveway at John O'Keefe's.
See a car to the left?
Is 1.5 too fast? Let me know if it's too fast.
Yes.
Do you know whose car that is?
Yes, that's Miss Reed's.
Is that where you left it the night before? For those early morning hours when you drove from Mr. O'Keefe's house?
Yes.
I want to show you it's been marked as Exhibit 11. Do you recognize what's in that photo?
Yes, Miss Reed's vehicle.
Is that the vehicle that Ms. Reed showed you with the broken missing taillight that morning?
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to get to the 911 call. We're going to speed it down for the 911
You mentioned
call.
earlier in the night, you spoke to John O'Keefe when you called him or he called you about directions to Fairview Road.
Yes.
And you also shared that you had a phone conversation offering directions.
Yes, I did.
Did you tell John that the house at Fairview was near Bella's mom's house?
Sustained as to form, Mr. Brennan.
Okay. What did you tell John as far as directions to Fairview? How did you mark it for him?
I told him to go back past Bella's house, Bella Street, and then to follow it down to the end.
Hard to understand.
Now I want you to take us back where we were yesterday when we left off. You had brought us to Fairview Road. You had found John.
Yes.
You shared with us that you were trying chest compressions. Before the chest compressions, did you make a phone call?
I called 911.
Now they're going to roll the 911 call, and we're going to play the 911 call at 1 speed because the 911 call was striking to me. And Brennan does some damage control on the 911 call. Let's talk about the damage control.
I'd like to move to introduce a copy of that 911 call.
Okay. Do you have something physically to? Thank you.
Ms. McLaughlin does.
Thank you.
With
Thank you.
the court's permission, I'd like to play Exhibit 45.
Yes.
We just went to 1 speed.
No, this is for what emergency.
Yes, I need someone come to 34 Fairview Road, Vietnam, the man passed out in the snow.
You can't hold on, because you can't do it, so you can't do it, okay?
Yeah, no, I did that.
You have to tell us, let's get on.
I can keep going. Like, that area is 15, okay?
Let's get on, because it's,
So I just want to stop and say, why the hell is Canton using such poor quality recording, because this is these are 911 calls, right? They could be evidence, they could be something, whatever. And the audio on that is basically recorded on a potato. And I'm like, you guys know that you guys know you've got to get this done right? I feel like this is recorded underwater, and the underwater we're talking about is literally a flushing toilet. So, yeah.
I don't think like the parents.
911, what's your emergency?
I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Camden, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow, 34.
Wait, what? Did you guys hear this on like the toilet audio? Because she just said there's a guy. There's a guy. Not my friend, not, whatever, just a guy. I don't know. I like to think that if my buddies found me passed out in the snow, they wouldn't be calling 911 going, there's a guy. She's really distancing herself from the from John O'Keefe, right? And she sounds really chill. Now you can see she's putting on a bit of a show here.
911, what's your emergency?
I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Camden, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow?
And the deep breath there comes just before the guy. There's a guy. And I'm like, are you having an emotional moment here because you're hearing the 911 call? Or are you having an emotional moment here because you know that they're about to come out with the guy?
Yes, so for the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up and found it.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Camden, Mass, yes.
911, that's not your order, emergency. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Camden?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay, what else?
He's gonna get here, okay?
Okay.
There's a man unresponsive in the snow. It's an interesting way to describe it.
What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
That's his girlfriend, his name is John McCabe.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46, how long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and it could have been a couple of hours. Is he Jerry? Is he? I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to use body heat and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we have the fire department go and they just get it on.
Okay. Is he breathing? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Yes, he's got to do CPR. No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we have the fire department and the police.
I think he's passed away. That's weird language. Weird language. I found this call to be super off-putting No, this is not the first time I heard it. I listened to it when it was real time. I found this to be super strange and off-putting because I'm like, how's that going? Now, there's some other interesting stuff here.
Car. John is 46 years old.
46, how long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and it could have been a couple of hours.
How long has he been there? I don't know. He just got out of the car in the last couple of hours. What car? What car did he get out of in the last couple of hours? Huh. Interesting.
I don't know if he women. There are two women trying to heat and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try asking? I know it's tough, but we have the fire department going, they just gotta know.
Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Yes, he's got to do CPR. No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we have the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys upset?
I'm right up front of the car. I know, I'm on the phone with the Andrews. I know, honey, I know. Carrie, you gotta get off of me. Carrie, you gotta get off of him.
Carrie, you've got to get off of him.
You know if there's any alcohol or drugs involved?
He had been out,
They've been out drinking.
Yes, like I'm talking hours about maybe, and I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe in his head? Is his head out?
Yes, absolutely. I think he's bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face. All right.
Yes.
And how big the pool of blood is, if there is any?
Something's coming out of the nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of them is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
All right, if you want CPR, and just let me, just give us a call back, and we become response, all right, but we're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was cold shit. There's a guy in the snow. Not my friend. Not anything. There's a guy in the snow. And she just seems really quiet. I don't know. I found this to be super strange. No, they don't stay on the line. They hang up. Yeah. I thought that was, but Brennan actually tries to do some damage control on this.
Ms. McCabe, describe your mental state when you were speaking to 911.
I guess the best way to describe it was I was in shock. My heart was racing. I was trying to be as helpful as I could and get the information to the most important information out as quick as I could to the 911 operators, but also the scene there with Karen and Kerry was a bit chaotic between the two of them. So I was just trying my best to be as calm as I could, to get help there as fast as I could, and to answer their questions the best that I could.
Before you told...
I mean, if I wanted to get help as fast as I could, like as fast as I could, there are like some magic words for getting the police as fast as you can. Those magic words are, he's a police officer. There's a police officer bleeding and unconscious on the ground here, officer down. And I will tell you that if those words come out, not only are they going to send the ambulance, they're going to send a freaking helicopter. They're going to send a tank. They're going to send, like, you know, it's going to be freaking, you know, World War III there. So, I mean, if I was ever in real trouble, you know, it's like, so the one thing they didn't, you know, she doesn't say is, you know, this is the police officer. So I thought that was odd. Because you know he's a cop. You know he's a cop. So, yeah.
The 911 operator, John O'Keefe's name and his age. You said there's a man in the snow. Do you know why you chose those words?
Fair.
I think I just wanted to get out the most specific details. So a man in the snow versus, you know, John O'Keefe and into a story. I think I just was get the details to them as fast as possible to get help there to him as fast as possible.
Yeah. Given that she keeps trying to talk about the, you know, about this. By the way, you know, just as a note, in many areas, they have like priority levels for calls. And typically the top priority level isn't for I'm getting murdered. Typically the top priority is for police officer in trouble. That police officer in trouble is the highest priority and trumps like guy is currently chopping me into pieces with a fire axe, right? And so if they got to pick where to send people and one of them is like officer has an ouch and the other one is guy is getting murdered, they're going to send it to officer has an ouch, even if the ouch isn't like the guy actually being dead. So yeah, I don't know. I find this to be odd. It's not definitive by any stretch. You know, it could be she's just, you know, some people react differently in, you know, in those things, but you know, in stressful situations. But yeah, we'll keep going here. We'll jump ahead a little bit. Somebody says, what if the axe guy is a cop? Then they'll send the axe guy help.
The door of the cruiser.
Why did you get in the car with the defendant?
She was crying. She asked me to get in. We held hands. We prayed. She did have blood on her hands, and she said, could I have gotten my period? Who's going to take care of the kids? She just kind of was all over the place. And then at one point, we saw them moving John towards the ambulance. And at that point, Miss Reed started yelling to Miss Roberts, go check on him. Are they working on him? Is he dead? Is he dead? And at that point, myself and Miss Reed got out of the car and she started yelling and pulling on me to Google hypothermia and Google how long it takes for somebody, you know, to die in the cold.
When the defendant first asked you to Google an inquiry about hypothermia.
That was kind of a whole info dump, but okay. Yeah.
Were you still inside the police cruiser or were you outside?
Outside.
What was the weather? I know it's an obvious question, but how cold was it?
It was very cold, windy. The snow was blowing. As I stated, I have multiple sclerosis. So when I'm out in either extremely hot or cold temperatures, I lose the feeling and sensation in my fingers, which obviously made the Googling very hard for me to do because of my, you know, motor skills.
Hence the Haas long. Okay, fair enough.
So when you were outside of the car with the defendant and she had asked you to do a search regarding hypothermia, did you try to do that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know the exact time from?
And by the by, the previously she'd said that this was something that happened in the cruiser. The problem is that the cruiser has video and audio recording inside it. So now it's outside the cruiser because she got busted on that in the first trial. And so now she's like, well, I'm not making that mistake again. So
Memory, not from reading or learning, but from your memory. Do you remember the exact time you did that?
No.
Was it after the police came that morning?
Yes.
Had you ever attempted to search about hypothermia any time before that moment, that morning,
No.
or that day,
No.
that week?
No.
Was this the first time that morning after the defendant asked you to search that you searched that phrase?
Who the fuck cares if it's the first time she's searching? I mean, they're saying not at 2:47 or whatever a.m. or 2:27, but like, he's like, ever? And it's like, we don't care about ever, but yeah.
Yes, it was.
And did you complete your search and get a result?
So I don't know what came up, because I think as I entered it, I think I misspelled things. And so then I think I tried a second search. And again, I don't think I even paid attention to what came up, because we were already on to the next thing. Karen was already moving and screaming about, the next thing to Kerry. Are they working on him? Is he dead?
Did the defendant move somewhere from the point when she first asked you to try to Google about hypothermia to something else?
She was next to me, and then I think she took off. Like, she kept kind of running off.
And what did you do?
I believe as they were I think I stood there, I believe as they were putting John into the ambulance, I went back kind of to the original spot where we had been talking to the police. And at that point, a new officer might have come, because I remember talking to multiple officers there.
At some point, did you go back towards the area of Ms. Roberts' car?
Yes, that's where I'm referring to. Sorry.
At some point,
By the way, I just want to note, they're using Karen being like hysterical as evidence of her being a killer. And I'm like, yeah, here's the problem. Like, if she was not hysterical, we would expect that to be like, they'd be using that as evidence that she was, that she was a killer. Her being like super, like, worried about him being like, it's like, I don't get it. I don't see it. So yeah.
at some point, were you with the defendant when she spoke to an officer and a first responder?
Yes.
Do you remember if the first responder was a man or a woman?
I remember there was a woman right next to us. Yes.
Remember if that was before or after the defendant asked you to search about hypothermia?
I'd be guessing if I then don't.
Don't guess.
Mm-hmm.
When the defendant was speaking to the first responder, the woman, were you near?
Yes.
Did you hear or do you remember the defendant saying anything to the first responder?
Yes.
What did she say?
She told the first responder, I hit him.
When she told the first responder, I hit him, how did you react?
I was like startled, kind of like, what are you saying? What are you talking about?
Did you say anything to the defendant?
I think after the second or third time she was saying it, I was like, Karen, like, what are you saying?
Why were you trying to interrupt her?
Because I thought she was just talking crazy. And I'm saying, why is she saying she hit him?
Were you trying to look out for her?
Yeah.
Sustained.
Yeah. Objection there is leading AF, right? Super, super leading. And yeah, that one is, were you trying to look out for her? Yeah. She never liked Karen. Let's be honest. Yeah. Now the thing is I find it very weird that she's supposedly like shouting, I hit her. Did I hit her? Like all of this. And like nobody seems to actually do anything about it. Let's say you find a guy, dead in an alley, and he's got a big bullet hole in him, and somebody's like, I think I might have shot him. Did I shoot this guy? Or even just straight up, I shot him. And I'm going, would that not actually have the, like, people would react to that, right? It's weird.
I'll strike it. You can ask it differently.
What was your motivation for trying to interrupt the defendant making the statements to the first responder?
Karen was hysterical, irrational, kind of.
I'll move on.
Okay, I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Okay, so now they have their sidebar. Is this the sidebar that never ends?
So what happens?
No,
So I said, Brian, Nicole, because I was in a position where I felt like the world was going on around me, so much was happening, but I also was aware that I was just about to wake up two people that are sound asleep, and they're going to see me standing over their bed and be startled, wondering, what am I doing here?
So what happens?
So it took a minute or two, and then Brian woke up, and he immediately was like startled and was like, Jennifer, what's going on? What are you doing? And then I believe I tried the best I could to say what was going on. I think I said, we found John.
You don't need to describe
Okay.
again, but I want to know their reaction and your interaction with your sister and Brian Albert.
They woke up startled and confused.
Did you have a conversation with them?
Yes.
How long was that conversation?
Brief. They got up, got dressed. I spoke to them.
And where did you go and where did they go?
Then all three of us went down the stairs.
The upstairs to the downstairs?
Upstairs to downstairs,
And
yes.
upstairs is the second level, is downstairs the first level?
Yes.
As you come down the stairs, can you see the front door?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the house at that point?
I saw Officer Lank.
In the house?
Yes.
Do you know if he had been invited in?
I have no idea.
When you came down the stairs and saw Officer Lank, where was your sister and Brian Albert?
They were walking with me down the stairs.
And did you see whether or not the officer spoke with your sister and your brother?
He did.
Brother-in-law? I'm
He
sorry.
did. He did. Yes.
Were you there during that conversation?
No.
How long was that conversation? Do you know?
Not sure.
Where did you go when the officer was speaking to your sister and your brother-in-law inside their home?
I was standing at the front doorway, and then my husband Matt had just arrived.
What happened next?
I started talking to Matt, and almost immediately Officer Lang came, got Matt, and asked if he could talk to him outside.
At this point, I want to go back and show you some video. Have you seen video in this case before?
Yes.
all right, we're going to skip the video. It's really weird how her emotional state goes from like dead calm and able to do this to like suddenly unable to function. It's yeah. All right, we're going to skip ahead to this moment.
Little by little, as I sat there, I started things started coming back to me that had been said to me.
To anybody but Carrie?
Make sense of everything.
We're jumping.
Did you speak to your sister about what happened?
Yes.
Did you speak to your brother-in-law about what happened?
Yes.
And were they giving you any comfort or support?
Yes, they were being very comforting and supportive.
As you were waiting at Fairview, did anybody else come to the house?
When my husband Matt had arrived. A little while later, Julie Albert had arrived. She was dropping something off, and then Brian Sr. called her in.
Is Julie Albert the wife of Chris Albert?
Yes, she is.
And Brian Albert and Chris Albert are brothers?
Correct.
When she arrived, did you talk to her?
Yes.
Were you in a group? Were you talking to people privately?
No, we were all sitting around the kitchen table.
And why were you talking to everybody?
We were trying to figure out what had happened. They were trying to be supportive, trying to help me.
What was your mood?
I was extremely concerned. I was calling Kerry, trying to get updates about John. I was worried about John, his family, about Kaylee.
At that point, did you know whether John was going to live?
I had a very strong, I think deep down I knew that John was gone. But you know, this until you hear it, I think there was that little bit of
Deep down I knew. Yeah, I mean, I got some theories as to why you knew.
hope, maybe.
Did you speak to anybody but Kerry, who was not at the home that morning?
I believe I spoke, yeah, Miss Reed.
You had a conversation?
Yes, I spoke to her when she was in the ambulance.
Did you speak to her again later that day?
No, I think I texted her asking her for Kerry's number because I didn't have it.
Did you hear back?
No,
Did you ever speak to Miss Reed again?
no, I've never spoken to her again.
When you were trying to get information from Kerry,
I'm sure Ms. Reed
and
is
you were in
real upset
Fairview,
about that.
did anybody else other than the people you've described arrive at Fairview?
Chris Albert, Brian Higgins showed up, and Chris Albert.
Did you know Brian Higgins?
I knew him as a friend of Brian's.
Did you see him at the waterfall that night before?
Yes, I did.
And after you arrived at Fairview that night, after leaving the waterfall, was Brian Higgins one of the people there?
Yes,
And did you talk about what had happened in front of Brian Higgins as well?
yes.
Was there a group discussion?
I wouldn't say discussion. I would just say, like, for instance, someone would ask me a question because everybody this didn't make sense to anybody. No one knew what had happened.
Agreed.
So just move on.
And so was there a lot of questions about what you saw and heard?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you felt like you were in a state of shock. Did you feel like you were still in that state, or were things changing mentally?
Little by little, as I sat there, I started things started coming back to me that had been said to me earlier.
Did something significant come back to you about what happened earlier, or what you heard?
Yes.
And what is that?
When Miss Reed stated to myself and the female, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Myself and the female. It's weird because normally I don't hear female from people other than like creepy ass dudes. Like, so yeah.
And did anything else over the course of that morning come back to you about that moment?
Throughout when I was still at Fairview or throughout the day?
Still at Fairview.
I believe that was maybe the main thing. I can't be sure what memories came back.
When you remembered the defendant's statements to the first responder, did you decide to do something with that information?
Yes. Officer Lang had said if I, remembered anything or needed anything before the state, the state police came to give him a call.
Did you?
I did, yes.
And you knew Officer Lang?
I did, yes.
Were you comfortable calling him?
Yes, I was.
Did you tell him the information that you had remembered?
I just asked him to come back to Fairview.
Did he?
He did, yes.
When he came back, did you speak to him?
Yes, I did.
Were you with the group, or were you alone?
No, I was with the group.
And did you tell him what you had remembered?
I did, yes.
How long did you stay at Fairview for?
I believe somewhere between 11:30. I'm being approximate with my times. Officer Proctor called me from the state police.
Do you know how he got your number?
No.
Did you have a discussion with him?
He said he would like to come by and question me. And I'm not sure if he said at your house or if I said I need to go home because I had 4 kids at home that were still sleeping. And, I knew that I had to go home to them and eventually break this, news to them and comfort them. And I knew that was going to be a whole nother situation to deal with.
So she's got to go home and break the news. And how's she going to go home and break the news? She's going to be like, hey, they found some guy in the snow.
Did you speak to him on the phone before you went home, or after?
A quick phone call. I'll see you at my house.
At that point, did you share any information with him?
No, not on the phone.
Did you return home?
I did, yes.
Do you remember about what time that was?
I'm going to say 11:30 or after, approximate.
General?
General, yeah.
Oh. When you got back home, did you have a meeting or speak with Mr. Proctor?
I did, yes.
Was it a phone call or an in-person conversation?
He came into my house with Officer Buchanan.
Okay.
She's been practicing. That's not what you called him at the first trial. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Moving on.
Roberts, and try to memorialize what you had saw or thought that morning?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Peg had asked Kerry to do a timeline. So Kerry came over and we were sitting down talking about it. And so my sister was there and she said that she would jot it down for us.
My bad.
And so when you got together, it was at the request of
I forgot which sister did it. Okay, fair enough.
Mrs. O'Keefe?
Yes.
When she made that request of you, asked you to do that, did you question why?
No, she wanted us to do it, so I did it.
Why?
She wanted us to remember and try to jot down everything we remembered so we wouldn't forget.
So I'm going to sustain this picture. There is disregard.
Did you speak to officers further in the future?
Yes.
Can you count how many times you spoke with police or the interviews you had?
There were a lot, or a good amount, I should say.
At some point, did any of the police officers ask if they could take your phone and copy everything on it?
Yes.
Did you have any hesitation about that?
Objection.
Were you cooperative?
Yes.
Why?
I wanted to help in any way I could.
May I approach?
Yes.
All right, we'll jump ahead a little bit because that was just her talking about how she sort of worked with others.
Her memory's correct?
I don't think I would say influenced.
Would you?
We're gonna go back a little.
Hundreds of times, that's fair to say, about your individual perceptions, your respective perceptions of this case, correct?
This happened 3 years ago, and we've talked about it time and time again.
We're gonna go a little further back. All right.
I'm getting myself confused. Y'all have talked about things that were outside of her perception and outside of your perception, and you've shared those with each other.
We've shared our experiences. We've become very close. We both lived through a traumatic experience.
How many times would you say you and Miss Roberts?
Do you notice how she changed up? Earlier, she was talking mostly to Brennan. Now, she's mostly looking at the jury. She does a lot of talking to the jury now.
Have discussed your individual perceptions of what you remember happening on the 28th or the 29th of January 2022. How many times?
It would be hard to put a number on that. We talk about, it's hard. We're bonded. We talk about the trauma that we relive every day. Karen called us for help, and we both answered the phone.
And that bonding is the glue that holds you two together. Is this case, correct?
Yes.
So that probably, by definition, is the foundation of many, many, many of your conversations. Would you agree?
We've grown into friends where we talk about many other things besides the case.
Sure. The movie you saw last weekend and what the kids are doing against it.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. We
Okay,
talk
so-
many different things, just like girlfriends do.
I'm just concerned with and asking you about the subject matter of this case and the details and the facts of this case. You two have probably talked hundreds of times, that's fair to say, about your individual perceptions, your respective perceptions of this case, correct?
This happened 3 years ago, and we've talked about it time and time again. This case has traumatized us.
So a lot of this is suddenly she's talking to the jury, and a lot of this starts to feel she's going to start using certain lines kind of over and over and over again. And tell me if you spot them.
It's a huge part of our lives.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, it's fine. I believe it just traumatized our lives.
Okay. It would be impossible for you two to have had so many conversations about your respective perceptions of the details of that day without that influencing the other person, correct? You've somehow been influenced by Miss Roberts's perceptions and her memories, correct?
I don't think I would say influenced.
Would you say that she's been influenced by your perceptions and your memories?
Objection.
Would you say that, Ms. McCabe?
No, I wouldn't.
Next question.
How many times have you met?
So this is a jury trial. Let's talk a little bit about jury trials, because in a jury trial, the judge should absolutely 100% be doing their damnedest to not put their finger on the scale. Because a jury can be influenced by all sorts of little tiny things. And so a judge should be being super, super careful. Canone doesn't. Canone likes to go with another approach, which is just F it. We'll just tell the jury exactly what we think. And like a lot of what she does, she hints pretty strongly towards the jury what she actually thinks about things. And I'm like, that's not cool. That is not okay. That is like, and so I have issues with all of that. I have some concerns because I'm like, you can't do this. When she steps in and she's like, was that a lie? You know, was it like, the judge shouldn't be asking the questions. The judge shouldn't be any of this. And you see her tipping the scale in there a whole lot. And I hate it.
With anybody from the DA's office and I'm just going to limit the time frame right now, in anticipation of your appearance in this trial, yesterday and today?
I'd say roughly 4 or 5.
Can you give me a time frame when those 4 or 5 meetings were?
I don't have dates. I do remember at one point I met with Mr. Brennan. He was new to the case. So I went in and he introduced himself.
How long ago was that?
I
Weeks or months?
I can't give you a time frame. I'm sorry.
Do you think it was last summer?
No.
Do you think it was?
No, it was more recent.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
sorry.
wasn't in the fall of last year?
No,
It was in 2025 sometime?
I believe so,
You
yes.
think it might have been February, January?
Again, I can't give you an exact. I'm sorry.
All right. I want to talk about the time frames of those conversations, and I'll ask you a little bit more about those conversations. So that was the first meeting that you had was with Mr. Brennan in anticipation of your testimony. What were the subsequent 4 meetings or so that you had? With whom and approximately what time?
Okay, so another meeting with Mr. Brennan. Are you looking for who was
Sure.
there?
Who else was there?
I mean, can I give you a general answer? I didn't write down like every meeting who was there, but
Of course.
generally, okay.
Was Mr. Lally there?
During 1 or 2 of the meetings, he was, yes.
Was Ms. McLaughlin there?
Yes.
Was there anybody else from the DA's office there?
The officer or trooper Tully was there at one. Trooper Buchanan was there at one. The witness advocates were there. And again, give or take the particular meeting.
Those are 2 meetings that you've talked about with Mr. Brennan and others. What about the third meeting?
No, I'm sorry. I was lumping a few of them together.
Sure,
I
understood.
apologize.
How many meetings would you have? Let's just start there. How many meetings have you had with Mr. Brennan and either staff or colleagues?
So after the first initial meeting, I would say, again, I didn't write them down off the top of my head. I can think of 2 or 3 more after that.
Okay.
Excuse me, first initial one.
So that's either 4 or 5 meetings with Mr. Brennan and some combination of his colleagues, Mr. Lally, Ms. McLaughlin, perhaps, Mr. Nelson, perhaps, the other employee of the DA's office, and Troopers Buchanan and Trooper Tully.
Correct.
A lot of people.
You asked questions about at any of these meetings. I'm just going to lump them all together. Any of these 5 meetings. By the way, when was most recent?
Last night, I had a Zoom call in regards, I think the court asked them to.
Yes, I'm going to stop you right there.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to ask a different question, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to lead you through this question.
Okay.
You had a conversation last night.
Last night I had a Zoom call, and I think the court wanted, and the judge is like, nope. I'm pretty sure that wasn't something that Jackson was trying to get out either. So I don't know what the deal was there, but yeah. I'm guessing that was probably that the court said, hey, there's certain things she can't talk about. Like, hey, there's certain things she's not allowed to discuss. And so, yeah, the one thing the court is going to get upset about is you can't discuss the Zoom call about the things you're not allowed to discuss. Okay. So, yeah, let's jump ahead a fair bit here. So they end up with the break that never ends. Now there's been speculation online that the break that never ends is with regards to where's his face? This guy. It's been speculated online that Paul got woodshedded a bit. And what we see is that he starts out here, but later on, Paul ends up in the back row. And I think that the issue is there's been lots of reports, and some of them we can see, is that Paul has been making faces at Karen Reed, making faces that are visible to the jury, and basically sort of mean mugging her and so forth. Somebody says woodshedded, like as in taken out back behind the shed and beaten, metaphorically. So, yeah, that's kind of the And that seems to be the issue there. Apparently he's also making comments. So he gets told, like, you gotta go a little further back. You gotta, that seems to be what's going on there. I mean, the thing is I feel bad for the family, but it does kind of say something if he's being a dick.
Oh, these?
All right. Let's...
Familial connections that your family.
I like the guy's cream-colored suit. I like that guy's. And the thing is this is a very weird courtroom because this courtroom is kind of bowl-shaped. Most courtrooms would actually have the entire gallery being behind the counsel table, such that, like, they wouldn't be able to, like, to do anything. Somebody said they missed the suit. The suit is not important, but this guy in the upper right here with his cream-colored suit and his purple tie, I'm like, I kind of like his style. I think he's court staff, but I like your fit, sir.
When last we left off, we were talking a little bit about some of the familial connections that your family has with certain law enforcement agencies. We talked about Boston Police Department, obviously, Brian Albert. We talked a little bit about Massachusetts State Police and knowing friends of friends with regard to Chris and Julie, correct?
Yeah.
Knowing friends of Chris and Julie?
Friends of friends of Chris and Julie.
Is that your relationship?
With who?
I'd ask you about. I'll ask you a different question.
Okay.
A little bit vague.
Hey, you know who's not on, like, who's not talking right now? Karen Reed. Camera. Eyes front.
Courtney Proctor is friends with Julie's sister.
Yes.
And obviously Courtney also knows Julie and Chris, correct?
Sustained.
And there's also a connection to Canton Police Department through Kevin Albert. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you answer that? Is there a connection? Do you have a connection with the Canton Police Department through Kevin Albert?
Not with the police department, but Kevin Albert is Brian Albert's brother.
Right. And Kevin works for whom?
The Canton Police.
Thank you. So you've been interviewed many times by
No.
different law
No
enforcement
weights in
agencies,
Canadian
be they
courts.
Massachusetts State Police, Canton Police, or otherwise, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Those interviews have not just been over the period of weeks, it's been over the period of weeks and months and even years since this occurred, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Emily, I get it. She says Paul is being a dick because in his eyes, these people are going to great lengths to cause harm and injustice to his family. The thing is that he's actually endangering the trial, because if Paul does something that results in a mistrial, it might be a situation where it's a mistrial with prejudice, and that's it. That's, so if I'm Paul, I'm sitting there and I am being super freaking, like, I am a statue. I am I am carved out of ice. So, yeah.
Contacted by another law enforcement agency that was not Massachusetts State Police and not Canton Police Department at one point in April of 2023. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I want to talk for a second about that series of interview, or that interview. You were contacted at your residence by these members of this law enforcement agency, correct?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, it's
Later
pretty
that
clear
same day,
Paul
you did
thinks
sit down with
Karen
those same
Reed
law
did it.
enforcement officers for a formal interview.
On that.
On that same day that you were contacted by them, they also went into your home and actually interviewed you, correct?
Yes, it was brief.
All right. Those law enforcement officers identified themselves as being associated with an agency that is not Massachusetts State Police. You understood that,
Yes.
and you understood that they would not
Okay, let's listen to that again.
themselves as being associated with an agency that is all right. Those law enforcement officers identified themselves as being associated with an agency that is not Massachusetts State Police. You understood that,
Yes.
and you understood that they
An agency that is not Massachusetts State Police. I feel like this is actually kind of making things more interesting to the jury, to be like, you need to explore what this is. Who is this agency that's not Massachusetts State Police? Like, is it, I don't know. You know, yeah. Like, what are our options here? Is it like the DMV shows up? Is it the the association of or what is it, the Shriners? Like, did the Shriners show up? What association are you talking about? They should just be able to say it's the FBI, right? Come on, just tell us it's the FBI. Because when they don't say it, it actually sounds worse. Because now the jury's like, who is it? Who could it be?
They were not involved with Canton Police Department either, correct?
Correct.
Completely separate agency, is that right?
Yes.
During the course of that interview, those officers informed you very specifically, Ms. McCabe, that it is a crime to lie to them, even during an interview, correct?
Yes.
So it's an agency that's not the police, and that it's a crime to lie to. Which agency is it famously a crime to lie to? Elf Ligon saying we need here EDV soundboard, the FBI. I like her soundboard. I hate that particular sound clip. Sorry, Emily. I hate that particular sound clip. It just rubs my ears the wrong way. So I am not going to get that particular sound clip. Maybe we could do this.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney.
Those law enforcement officers informed you that they were investigating certain circumstances attendant to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
They were very vague on what they were.
Understood.
I don't know what they were investigating.
But you did understand that it was having something to do with your involvement at 34 Fairview on January 28th, 29th, 2022. As a witness or otherwise?
Sustained as to certain terminologies.
Sure. Let me see if I can rephrase that, Ms. McCabe. You were aware of the subject matter of their interview, right? They weren't interviewing about a car you bought last year, correct?
Correct.
They were interviewing you basically about what you're testifying to here, correct?
When I first spoke with them, the conversation was pretty vague.
But the subject matter, vague or specific, was about this subject matter.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Kate, I do use one. Not a lot, but sometimes it's funny. So if you're gonna unsubscribe,
That's too many syllables. Apologize.
but we're not going to use it much.
They first contacted you telephonically, called you on the phone. Is that right?
Actually, they walked up to my car.
They walked up to your car?
Yes.
Okay, that was the very first introduction, correct?
Yes.
At that point, they had not identified themselves, correct?
They didn't know.
All right, and at that point, you told them that you were not Jennifer McCabe. They asked you who you were, and you said, I'm Nicole.
I thought they were like selling something. So I was like, oh, no, I'm not the homeowner.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Bullshit. Now he can't really do much about it because like the FBI is gonna show up, and what's the first thing they're gonna do? They're gonna like open up their little leather folio and go, ma'am, we're with the FBI. We have some questions to ask you. Because of course, like they're not gonna come up and like wave an encyclopedia at you or be like, have you found Jesus? The FBI is going to be obviously the FBI. So when she's like, I thought they were selling something. Yes, they're selling go to jail for the rest of your life. That's what the FBI sells. So yeah, but she's like, no, I'm not the homeowner. And now she's got this smirk because she got away with it. So yeah.
However, after you said, I'm not Jennifer McCabe, you walked into the house, they then called you on the phone.
Yes.
They were
Correct.
still sitting outside your house.
I don't know where they were, but they did call me.
They were close by.
I'm not aware.
Well, the call came almost immediately after you walked back in the house, correct?
I'm not sure how much time had passed.
Give me an idea. It wasn't an hour. It was
No, it was
5 to
soon
10
after.
minutes.
I'm just not sure. I can't tell you where they were located. I'm sorry.
Okay. They told you that they
Yeah, they called and they're like, ma'am, you know we're the FBI. You know we can figure out that you're you, right? We know you're in the house. Do you want us to get a warrant? Because we're the FBI. We can get warrants. And, yeah.
at that point, they identified themselves as being law enforcement agents, correct?
When they called me, yes.
And they told you at that time that they were not with Canton Police. You knew at least they were not with Canton Police Department. They were not troopers with Massachusetts State Police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they told you that they would like to have an interview with you. They'd like to have a sit-down talk with you, correct?
Yes.
You told them that you would be willing to submit to an interview, but you needed about 10 minutes to get ready, correct?
Yes.
You ultimately did allow them into your home, and you did sit down for a formal interview with them, correct?
Yes. Brief, but yes.
And it was during that.
She's like, I wouldn't say it was formal. Like, it wasn't like black tie or anything.
That formal interview inside the home that it was explained to you that it would be a crime for you to lie to them on any material issue, correct?
Yes.
During the course of your interview, your husband, Matt McCabe, came home. Is that right?
Yes.
As these law enforcement agents continue to question you, as law enforcement officers continue to question you at some point, you inform them that you did not feel comfortable with any further questioning and you suspended the interview, correct?
Yes.
So this is interesting. She's like, I want to help out in every way possible. And it is absolutely her right to STFU. 100% that is her right. She has an absolute right to shut the heck up. And it is almost always a great idea to keep your mouth shut because, generally, if your mouth is moving, you are getting closer to being convicted of something. If it was a police interview right now, I'd be like, goodbye, everybody, and we'd roll the typewriter. But she's been like, I wanted to help out so much. I wanted to all of this. And now suddenly she's like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, that's interesting. Because if she was the sort of person to just exercise her rights, then cool, right? Like that would make sense to me. But if she has been saying that she's like, totally, I want to help out with all of this. And now this unnamed agency shows up. Let's call them the post office. And she's like, nope, I don't want to talk to you.
Before leaving, however, those same law enforcement officers asked you if you had contacted anyone in those 10 minutes when you indicated, I need 10 minutes to get ready, between the time they called you and the time that they showed up and came inside your house, correct?
Yes.
You told them that you had contacted your husband, Matt McCabe.
Yes.
Which is why he came home, right?
Yes.
And you told them that you had called Carrie Roberts before they interviewed you, correct? At that moment.
I'm not 100% sure, but if you have it, it seems like something I would do, but if you have it, could show me.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So she does this a lot where she's like, could you show me what you have? And this is not typically something you see from honest witnesses. And I say typically because everybody's a little bit different, but typically honest witnesses will answer the question. Typically honest witnesses are not going, can you show me what you have before I answer this question? Because that's what she does a lot. And the thing is if somebody is going, hey, you'll get honest witnesses who are like, I don't remember. Because sometimes I don't remember is entirely honest, right? What did you have for breakfast 6 years ago? Fuck if I know. Probably didn't because I don't usually have breakfast. But instead she's like, I want you to show me this. And that usually means before I answer, can you please make sure I'm not going to get, called on my bullshit?
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, the goal ended at 9 out of 10, but I am not going to cheat you guys out of the doggos getting some pizza bones because of 9 out of 10. So 1 second here. Yeah. My friend was murdered or died and was found on a front lawn and the FBI showed up. I'd be like, oh, thank goodness someone is taking this seriously. I wouldn't freak the F out. I'd be like, why are you here? Because I'm in Canada. Is this suddenly an international thing or what's going on? All right, let's help the dogs get fatter. Zora, Potter, pizza crusts. When I say pizza crust, they start thumping. Where's the Potter? Where's the Potter? Did you do something to Potter so that you'd get all the pizza crust? Come here. Hey, Potter Bear. Hey, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. See you, buddy. I thought, I was like, where's Potter? Who's the Canadian version? CSIS. And if CSIS shows up at my house, I'm like, what the hell is happening? The RCMP does a lot of the stuff the FBI does. So CSIS is all just the secret spy stuff. Somebody said Potter is, Potter's head is massive. Yes, he is a big, he's a big, big pup. Zora's diet is clearly going well. No. Yes, Potter is a big dog. And I got to set a new goal. We'll set a goal for me. That'll be a gin fizz. I should probably set a goal of Runkle gets a massage because holy crap, my back is killing me. All right, let's go back to it. Have I eaten? No, we don't do that here. I had pizza for breakfast. Yes, Potter is a big dog.
Yes.
Potter is not small at all.
I'll stand for a couple of questions.
Yes.
I can have that.
Sure.
I want to direct your attention, if I may, for Court and Counsel, page 3 of
They
4.
actually did,
Starting
believe it or
with
not.
second to the last full paragraph, going into page 5, top full. I'm sorry, page 4, top full paragraph.
Okay.
You could review those 2 paragraphs, read them to yourself, and then look up and let me know when you're finished.
Also, I'm being told I suck at reminding people to subscribe. People, I enjoyed doing this. I really do enjoy hanging out with you guys. But it always helps if you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and and of course we're viewer supported. I always run these without ads because I don't like showing you guys ads when I'm doing a live thing because it ends up with disjunct. It ends up with all of that stuff. But I'll turn ads on afterwards. But yes, it's super chats are appreciated, but not necessary. If you guys, the economy sucks right now, so I get it. With the ads, I would make more money doing like a live stream like this, but I want you guys to enjoy it. So, yeah. Do I still get revenue for premium viewers? I think so. I think so. I've got a little plate here with the pizza crusts that I saved because this is the other thing. This is why I don't this is why I try to like respond to everybody, even if they, are not super chatting, which I know is bad for my revenue, but sometimes people are in positions where they shouldn't be super chatting me, and yeah, I don't want them to if you can't.
Thank you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
In reviewing those paragraphs, refresh your recollection as to what you told those agents initially. I'm sorry, what you told those officers initially from that other law enforcement agency, about who you contacted in that 10-minute interval.
Yes, I told them.
And you told them that you had contacted your husband, Matt McCabe,
Yes,
and Carrie Roberts.
correct.
I want to stick with that for just a quick second. One of the first calls you made after being contacted by these other law enforcement officers from a different agency, one of the first calls you made was to Carrie Roberts. Is that right?
She was the first one.
That's what I'm asking. One of the first two calls you made, your husband,
Right.
come home, there's law enforcement outside my door. I'm guessing is what you said, correct?
I don't remember my exact words now, but I did ask him to come home. Correct.
And
Yes.
Carrie Roberts.
Yeah, she said, "Hey, the FBI's at the door. WTF?" And this. Thank you, Lucy. That is awesome. I mean, to be fair, if the FBI showed up at the door or CSIS or whatever else, I suspect Mrs. Runkle would phone me and be like, "Get home right away."
Okay. Yes.
You wanted to let Ms. Roberts know that you had been contacted by certain officers from a different agency, correct?
I was curious if they had already been to her.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
You also wanted to find out had these law enforcement officers from this different agency contacted her, correct?
Yes, because typically if you enter our town, she's.
Ms. McCabe, yes or no?
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to explain. Okay. I'm sorry.
Is that why you contacted her, to find out if, in fact, they had contacted her before you? Yes or no?
Yes.
And you also wanted to find out what she told them, if she had been contacted by them, correct? That was your motive in calling her.
No.
So you just wanted to find out, had she been contacted?
Yes.
But if she had said yes, you weren't going to say, and what the hell did they say? What did they ask you?
Well, I can't say what I would have asked her, but I know I was calling to see if they had been there. Yes.
That was your intent.
I called to ask her if they had been there. Yes.
So that was your intent. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Your motive in calling Carrie Roberts at that moment before your interview was to ensure that your story would line up with her story, Ms. McCabe. Isn't that right?
No, that is not.
You wanted to find out if she had talked to these particular law enforcement officers and what she had told them, so that your story could somehow align, or it could inform how you responded to questions that they asked you. Isn't that true?
That's not true. We both know what happened. We don't have to have a story. There is no story. There's what happened, and that's it.
So if that's true, Ms. McCabe,
Then why are you calling her, and why aren't you telling the FBI who you called? Why hide it if you are not telling them? And I have a super chat here I got to read here, just noting Lori EC Trip saying, Runkle, hello, Twitter people. Come on over and subscribe because it's free. Also, support Runkle with a PayPal donation and a message that can be read live. Thank you.
you have no reason to call Carrie and ask her if she'd been contacted by these law enforcement agents, because it's just the truth, correct?
We're going through this whole experience together. We call each other about everything.
There would
That's
be no
nothing
reason
more
there.
than that.
So
I'm sorry.
let her finish her answer. Go ahead, Ms. McCabe, you can finish that.
There's nothing more than me calling and saying, hey, did they come to your house? That's what we did when the media showed up, when Miss Reed's private investigator showed up. We just give each other the heads up.
That was a thing to drop just like casually. And Kate Arit My comment bemoaning the use of soundboards was not directed at you. Never knew you used one. I adore you and your channel. Thanks. Just personal preference as a viewer. Some channels overuse it. I try not to wear it out. So, yeah, I mean, why would you not actually tell the people what, like, she's just throwing that in just to, like, tell the jury that there was a private investigator.
Hey, somebody's coming, because we're just like normal moms. We're not used to this.
And that's helpful in making sure that the stories she tells are consistent with the stories you tell to different law enforcement agencies, correct?
No, we are not telling stories.
So let her finish. You said no what?
I said, no, we're not telling stories. We don't have to compare.
And if in fact what we were telling you is just the truth, there'd be no reason for you to inquire about who's contacted her when.
There's no inquiring. It's like when you're when the ice cream truck was at the street next door and I'm saying, did the ice cream truck come? It's really that simple.
So you asked a question,
Not on next week.
an argumentative question, and she responded in kind. Next question.
Whoa. Judge, remember what we said about it being a jury trial? You're the judge who said you literally cannot say objection hearsay because that might affect the jury. But then you're like, you asked an argumentative answer and she responded in, fuck off, judge. Whew. If you wanted to make the comment, maybe that's one for your inside voice, right? And by your inside voice, I mean the most inside room in the house, the one with the toilet, which is where you can flush that opinion.
Thank you.
Like, that is so unreasonably inappropriate. Ridiculously inappropriate. Yeah.
You also testified in your direct examination, staying with Ms. Roberts for just a second, about a timeline that you and Ms. Roberts put together, correct?
Yes.
That's another example of the two of you talking about your own perceptions and comparing and contrasting those perceptions and putting it down on paper, correct?
No,
Is that yes or no?
it's a no. Can I explain or no?
I'm
No.
sure Mr. Brennan will have follow-up questions.
Yeah, Brennan can let you explain. You can shut up. You can answer the question. And then you can, like, that's it. That's all you get. So, nope. Answer the question or be gone.
After you gave that answer to those law enforcement officers at that separate law enforcement agency, they asked you, was there anyone else that you contacted in that 10-minute period before we got a chance to talk to you? And your answer was no, correct?
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
It wasn't a lie. No.
Was it true? Was it
I-
the truth or a lie?
It wasn't a lie.
Okay, so it was the truth. You had not spoken to any other person between the time they contacted you telephonically and you said, I need 10 minutes, and then they came in the door. During that part of time, you didn't talk to anybody else or contact anybody else other than Matt McCabe, Kerry Roberts. Now you're testifying that was a true statement. Yes or no, Emma?
I can't answer that yes or no.
It's pretty binary. Had you talked, well, let me ask you this. In point of fact,
I mean, the thing is there is room in between truth and a lie. The room in between truth and a lie is there's a mistake, right? There is a, I made an error. I forgot. It was so long ago, back in the heady days of 10 minutes prior. She was much younger back then. She was carefree. 10 minutes. That's so long ago. How can she be expected to remember 10 minutes ago? come on. Like, either, yeah. Oh.
You did talk to other people. Did you contacted others in addition to Matt McCabe and Kerry Roberts, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when you said no to the answer, did you contact anyone other than Matt and Kerry? That would be, by definition, Ms. McCabe, a lie. Correct?
No.
It's not a lie? Is there some?
How is it not a lie? How is it not a lie? I don't see it. Yeah.
Shade of lie that I'm not aware of?
It's the way you're asking the question. If
Okay,
I
let
could
me ask it a different
explain, if
way.
I could explain,
Let me ask
it
you a
will
different
make
way.
more sense to you.
Spoiler alert, no, it freaking won't. It's not getting any better. You can try to polish that turd, but it's not getting shiny.
The agents asked you. I'm going to go over this one more time, then I'm going to move on. The agents asked you, in fact, did you contact anyone between the time we called you and set up the interview and the 10 minutes before we walked in the door? They asked you that question, correct?
The objection sustained. Watch the choice of language.
I'm sorry. I meant the law enforcement agency. That law enforcement agency.
She, what was?
To you. You're asking the question.
What
If
was
I
the
could
language?
explain,
Let me ask
it
you a
will
different
make
way.
more sense to you.
The agents asked you. I'm going to go over this one more time, then I'm going to move on. The agents asked you, in fact, did you contact anyone between the time we called you and set up the interview and the 10 minutes before we walked in the door? They asked you that question, correct?
The objection sustained. Watch the choice of language.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I know exactly what that objection was about. I know exactly what that's about. The agents, and then the judge is like, sustained, watch your language. And meanwhile, the jury is sitting there going, this might be Canton, and the educational system produces some interesting fellows here, but I'm guessing the jury is probably smarter than your average bear, your average Canton bear, and they're able to do a little bit of math, and they're going, the math is mathing, and I'm getting to, I'm getting to 3 letters. Meanwhile, if they'd actually just said the FBI came to visit you, the jury probably would have been like, oh, it was the FBI. But the more they're getting breadcrumbed here, the more they're getting interested. So, yeah, I didn't actually see his hearing today. I might, if somebody can get me a link for that, I might cover it if it was televised. So yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant the law enforcement agency. That law enforcement agency.
Not the agents, but the law enforcement agency. We'll just call them the Bureau. Yeah.
The members of that law enforcement agency contacted you. Sorry, they asked you who you had contacted between the time they first.
Sorry, the people, we'll just call them the Bureau. They investigated you for federal reasons, right?
Telephoned you and walked in the door 10 minutes later, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Data point number 1. Data point number 2, you told them Matt and Kerry, correct?
Correct.
You had actually contacted, they then asked you, did you contact anyone else other than Matt and Kerry, correct?
Correct.
And you said no. Is that correct?
At that moment, I said no. Yes.
Correct. At any moment.
No, at that moment, because they had just come in my house.
I asked you,
Only one person can talk at a time.
you said the word no.
She
Correct?
was finishing her answer.
Stop arguing with the lawyer.
I had said no because I was in a situation where there are two officers from a different agent had come in, were asking me questions, or they had said, can I come in and ask you questions? At first,
I'm guessing the Zoom call that they had was, you are absolutely not permitted to say the words federal, bureau, and investigation, and certainly no acronyms for them. Yeah.
I thought they were selling something. Then they identified themselves. I just dropped my kids off at school. Going to be completely honest. I hadn't brushed my teeth. So
I'm going to be completely honest is like the siren call of the lying sack of crap. I'm going to be completely honest is what people say just before they bullshit you. And the thing is, I'm going to tell a little story. We're going to take this off the screen. I'm going to tell a little story. And the story goes like this. I am once upon a time cross-examining a witness. I am grilling the witness, and as I'm doing it, my phone rings. And it interrupts, and I'm like, I am sorry, Your Honor. My phone, I should have had it off. And she's like, yes, you should have. But the judge then says something. She says, listen, if that phone ringing had interrupted the other side, interrupted their cross, I would be much more upset. But it interrupted your cross. Because interrupting a cross-examination and buying the witness time to think about something or to weasel out of that moment when you've got them on the ropes is actually quite destructive to a cross-examination. And the judge is like stepping in to try to rescue the witness. And I'm like, why? Why? Why are you doing this? And, I mean, doesn't this look like the face of somebody who's telling the truth? Somebody who's being completely honest and is not like sitting here thinking about how she can bullshit her way out of this? It's such an honest face. How could you?
I come in and ask you. Officers from a different agent had come in, were asking me questions, or they had said, can I come in and ask you questions? At first, I thought they were selling something. Then they identified themselves. I just dropped my kids off at school. Going to be completely honest. I hadn't brushed my teeth. So I kind of made some phone
Objection, Your
calls.
Honor. This is not responsive.
So next question. Mr.
Thank you.
So, the FBI shows up and you're like, I really need clean teeth for this. The most important thing when the FBI shows up is that you have clean teeth, I guess. It's like, oh, cops are after me. Better change my underwear. Well, that one actually might make sense. But like, are you planning on kissing the FBI, or were you just going to talk to them? And if you don't want to talk to them, if you really don't want to have a conversation with the FBI, not having clean teeth might help. Because if you're sitting there and your breath is so stank that the FBI is like, check, please, we're out, then that's a win. But when she's like, I hadn't even cleaned my teeth. I hadn't even, weren't you out all day and that didn't bother you? So yeah. And you had 10 minutes. If you're worrying about not brushing your teeth, why didn't you brush your teeth instead of calling every witness on this case?
Ms. McCabe, after you said no, that you hadn't contacted anybody else, those two law enforcement officers from that separate agency who had told you it was a crime to lie to them, they left, correct?
Yes.
Subsequent to that, Mr. McCabe, your husband,
Objection.
Sustained.
they left you their card so you could call them if need be, correct?
Yes, they did.
And you in fact did call them back, correct?
Yes, I did.
Without telling me the content of the conversation you had, did you have a conversation with Mr. McCabe? Objection.
Sustained.
Did you call them back and say, I'm calling you back because my husband told me that I lied to you and I'd better clear that lie up?
So sustained. Jurors, remember I told you before that only answers to questions are evidence? Be mindful of that.
May we
Next, yes.
So I think that the judge did this wrong. I know that's shocking that I think that, but what the judge should have said is sustained as to the hearsay elements, jurors, you can only use this for the purpose of what she said, but nothing that was said by her husband is evidence. But like if she told the FBI, hey, I did this, then that's actually what happens next. That's the narrative on that. So I think that was admissible. All right, now they're back to more of this. And we're zooming in on the family because why?
May I?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. You ultimately called these officers back, correct?
Yes.
And you explained to them that you had been untruthful with them, correct?
I explained that I had forgotten to mention a couple of people that I had reached out to.
You had forgotten. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
You had forgotten. You remembered Matt and you remembered Carrie,
Mhm.
but you had forgotten the others that you had just contacted maybe 30 minutes before.
Yes.
There were 5 people that you contacted. Weren't there?
I contacted Matt.
Let's go through them. I'm just
Yeah.
asking yes or no. You know
I know 4 off the top of my head.
Okay, let's go through them.
Okay.
You contacted your husband, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Carrie Roberts, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Peggy O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
Then, Ms. McCabe, you contacted the district attorney's office, correct?
My witness advocate.
The district attorney's office.
My witness advocate who works
Miss-
for the district attorney's
Thank
office.
She really doesn't want to do that. She really doesn't want to answer that.
Then, Ms. McCabe, you contacted the district attorney's office, correct?
My witness advocate.
The district attorney's office.
My witness advocate who works
Miss-
for the district attorney's
Thank
office.
you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
And
Just answer the question. Yes, the district attorney's office.
you also left out that you contacted Brian Albert himself, correct?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
For some reason, your brother-in-law, who's the 30-year Boston police detective, correct?
Yes.
And on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found dead or dying. Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct?
Yes.
For some reason, you did not want these officers to know that you had communicated specifically with Brian Albert, the homeowner, just before you talked to them, correct?
No, incorrect.
There was some reason that was important enough for you to lie about that, even though you had been admonished that it's a crime to lie about that to those officers, correct?
Incorrect. I didn't lie to them. I had forgotten who I had called.
It was 10 minutes. You have just testified that your memory is like super awesome. And now in 10 minutes, like, I'm sorry, I cannot run a Taco Bell order from mouth to other end in 10 minutes. And Taco Bell is a very particular product that is exceptional at that. And you're saying that you forgot in 10 minutes? Like, no. That is, oh my God. I just want to like, Also, they closed the Taco Bell near me, and I'm sad because sometimes you just have to do horrible things to your body. And the thing is she says that she tells the FBI she spoke to 2 people. And she spent that entire time phoning people. How could you forget that you spent that entire time phoning people? Jeez. Josh Smith, Jen's statement to her husband wasn't sustained because of hearsay. It was sustained due to spousal privilege. Wouldn't her answering the question be a weight, like her volunteering? Well, I don't know. But the thing is like, of all of those people, Peggy O'Keefe is like, okay, maybe that's not all that significant. Brian Albert is a big deal that you called Brian Albert just before that. So I don't know. If I'm at the FBI, I'm watching this and I'm going, I'm sitting there in my suit. I'm sitting there in my, whatever. And I look over to like the identically dressed FBI agent, because I assume that there's always two of them dressed identically and that's how they do things. That's what the movies have told me. So I'm looking over at the like very similar looking to me FBI agent who's probably, named something like Mr. Black. And I'm going, hey, Mr. Black. And he goes, Mr. Johnson. And I'm going, right. Because we always, we've been together at the FBI for 30 years, but nevertheless, we still just, refer to each other with last names. Like, did we arrest her? No, I don't believe we did. It's like, okay, let's go arrest her. And then they put on the sunglasses, even though it's like, 11 at night, and they off they go, and they look very much like the Blues Brothers, except with a much more boring car. So like I would be waiting outside the courthouse going, you done testifying? Great. Please get in the back of this, in the back of this vehicle. And they'd be like, there are no back seats in that vehicle. Yeah, you're riding trunk.
And all of a sudden you had an epiphany right after they walked out the door?
Yes. Matt said, who have you spoken to?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it. It's out. You're not to go any further, Mr. Johnson.
Ms. McCabe, I want to draw your attention to January 28th. You had gone out drinking with your family at the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
I went with my husband and met my sister, yes.
And met the other family, correct? The other family members, meaning
My niece.
Matt McCabe, Nicole, Chris, Julie,
Thank
Caitlin,
you, chat.
correct?
Yes.
And I think you mentioned Tristan was there as well.
Yes.
You were later joined by Nick and Karina Kolakithis, is that right?
Yes.
Ultimately, Brian Higgins showed up.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to annoy some people, possibly including lawyer. Greek last names are a challenge sometimes. And like he drops that last name really easily. I bet he practiced it. There is a Supreme Court justice in Canada, Justice Karakatsanis. And what I was told in very strong language when I went to the Supreme Court, I was told, listen, if you need to speak to Justice Karakatsanis, just say justice. Because if you try for the name and fail, the justice will judge you. Whereas if you try for the, justice's name and succeed, you earn no points. But the justice doesn't mind if you just say justice. And so, because I am a petty person, I practiced Justice Karakatsanis. And then I made sure when the justice asked me a question to say, thank you, Justice Karakatsanis, and proceeded just because I was petty enough to ignore that advice. But Yeah.
Brian Albert showed up.
Yes.
You previously indicated that Caitlin's boyfriend, Tristan, left early for whatever reason. He had errands to run or had to get to bed early for some reason. Is that right?
He left before us, yes.
So he didn't stay through the shank of the evening.
Through the what?
The shank of the evening, through the course of the evening.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to say I am hashtag Team Jen on this particular exchange.
Didn't stay for whatever reason. He had errands to run or had to get to bed early for some reason. Is that right?
He left before us, yes.
So he didn't stay through the shank of the evening.
Through the what?
The shank of the evening, through the course of the evening.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
I was like, the shank of the evening? What? Apparently the shank of the evening is like the main part of the evening, the sort of best part of the night. And I'm like, I have never heard this before. So when she goes, the what? I put zero, like whatever on her because I was also like, what? I was like, I'm going to give you that one. Cause I was like, okay. I have never shanked an evening. If my clients are talking about the shank of the evening, they're probably talking about what stabby thing they brought out. The shank of the evening. Okay. I'm probably going to use that sometime just to use it.
I would say more like play fighting, and Nick Kolakidis was a but I have seen.
In all the hours that you've sort of prepped for your testimony, have you been shown that waterfall video from the time you got there until the time you left?
Not the full video, but I have seen a good portion of it, yes.
Okay, and you've certainly seen the portion.
So he's asking her right now about the little game of grab ass that they were playing. And the thing is that like Canton seems to have this weird thing that happens, which is that they, everybody in Canton seems to age to like 15. And then they stop and they get older, but they don't actually get any like wiser or anything. And so, so we have the grab ass going on there. Because they're like 15.
Where Brian Albert and Brian Higgins get up from the table and sort of get physical with one another, correct?
I would say more like play fighting, and Nick Kolakidis was a little bit like doing it with them as well.
Okay, so the physical part is, all I'm asking is, did they touch each other? Yes.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And
I'm also going to give her this one. I'm also hashtag Team Jen on this particular interaction.
Like doing it with them as well.
okay, so the physical part is, all I'm asking is, did they touch each other? Yes.
I guess, yeah.
And you described it as play fight.
She's like, not how I would describe it of them touching each other. Not how I'd describe it, but yes, they came into physical contact with each other, and I just saw the immaturity in her head, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that too. It's not a live stream until we get this comment. Too much alcohol, grow up. I've had a beer and I've just opened a gin fizz, and I haven't actually put the gin fizz in my mouth yet. It's gonna get there, but it hasn't got there yet. Everybody, I don't know why, but it seems like every stream there's somebody who's like, Runkle, you're drunk. And I'm like, no, I am sober. I am just tired. But I'm so amused at how many people are like, Runkle, you're drunk. And I'm like, no, this is just my personality.
Correct?
But I don't, if we could watch the video, it might explain it better than I could.
We probably will.
Oh, she meant
okay.
Canton. Fair enough.
You remember them
Fair.
swearing off on one another, playing, but swearing off on one another.
I
correct?
don't
if that was referring to Canton, I'm sorry, but there's usually somebody who's like, Runkle, you're drunk. And I'm like, okay.
Remember them squaring off. Like I said, I just watched the video. I don't remember it from that night, and I didn't really pay attention. It looked like foolish, like
I'm sorry,
guys, just-
my bad.
I don't even know how to describe it.
From your perspective, having watched the video,
Mhm.
it appeared that they squared off on each other and sort of took fighting stance.
I didn't look at it that in depth, so I could not say that.
Did you see them walk up to each other and grapple with one another? Like they were punching each other.
Right.
I get that.
Mhm.
Were they grappling with one another, like faking punches to each other?
I don't know.
Almost like sparring a little bit.
I don't honestly know.
But you did see the
I saw them together. It's blurry, and they're kind of, I don't know really what they're doing.
Okay, but they
Okay, but your memory was so good beforehand, and now your memory is shitty, and you're saying you were cold sober because you did testify that you were cold sober. And yes, a fighting stance is the dumbest argument the defense has made in both trials. It's dudes being dudes. It is dudes being dudes, but it's dudes being dudes by having a sort of, they're play fighting. Now, the funny thing about dudes play fighting is that the number of files I have seen where dudes are play fighting and they're drunk and they're like having a good time, sort of goofing off and whatever else. And then suddenly it's not play fighting. Because suddenly one person gets like, they get tapped a little too hard on the schnoz and it stings, their eyes are watering, and they come up and they throw a real punch. Or in at least one case that I'm familiar with, I wasn't representing the guy who did this. I was representing another guy who happened to get busted because when he talked to the cops, he had drugs in his pocket. But they had the play fighting and they were like, yeah, this is so funny, so funny. And then one guy wasn't having fun anymore. And he just the one guy got tagged a little bit and he wasn't having fun anymore. So he came up with a bar glass and he smoked the other dude in the face with the bar glass. They were buddies 30 seconds before this. And then bar glass to the face. And let me tell you what a bar glass to the face does. That is a life-changing injury. That is, you will never be right again because your face goes from face-shaped to really looking more like a puzzle. And so the guy who got glassed was very unhappy about this. And for obvious reasons. Meanwhile, yeah. So drunk people horse playing can go from this is funny, this is lovely, this is whatever to serious shit in 0 times flat. So yeah.
weren't standing there holding hands. Right?
Oh, God, no. No.
They weren't on their phones, right?
They were engaging with each other, playfully grabbing at each other. I don't really.
Playfully grabbing each other, play fighting, correct? That's my point.
I'd have to watch the video to categorize it as play fighting.
You don't have that.
She's like, please show me the video so that I don't say something that you're going to contradict. Tide, do you have this handy? She's like, please show me the video because I'm about to say something that might be a lie. And yeah. Fem Dandy says, I know a couple of people who hate each other because apparently in this Mad Max foam bat fighting dome thing at Burning Man, it turned into an actual fight and not fun. I watched a couple. So me and I gotta get this video together. I gotta get a video together just as a little intermediary thing. Me and Mrs. Runkle went to a bouncy castle. There's an adult bouncy castle. And we were there and it was fun. But the adult bouncy castle had these little fighting things where you could grab like this like bar that has like big inflatable things and you could smack each other with it, and then you're standing on these things that are hard to stand up on and you might fall down and whatever else. I watched a couple, like Mrs. Runkle was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, let's go to the ball pit. By the way, if you've seen that picture of me in the ball pit, that's what that's from. I had just finished watching another couple get into a go from like we're having a fun jousty thing on it to like I am so pissed off that I was like, yeah, okay. What is it? The one at the telecenter? No, every year they do like a bouncy castle thing where you go, you pay your money, and you can like play around in bouncy castles and things, and it's kind of fun. So, yeah.
I didn't know it was a quick clip. I wasn't like focusing on Brian and Brian. I was just identifying that was myself in the video, and there was Miss Reed, and I believe Miss Reed actually did some play fighting to Matt.
There was, in fact, to Matt.
Yeah, I feel like she was about like this to Matt at one point. Yeah, in the video.
So let's talk about Brian and Brian.
She's like, let me bring
Those
Karen
two
Reed
very
into
large in
this.
stature, correct?
They're the guys, yeah.
Big boys.
Mhm.
A lot bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
They took a fighting stance with each other and started grappling, playing, coming toward each other as if they were engaging in a fake physical altercation, correct?
I did not see that. I'm sorry.
Okay. You didn't even see it on the video.
I saw them on the video grabbing at each other. I didn't see stances but again, I didn't pay much attention to it.
And that's your best memory as you sit here today?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually, your husband, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole, Caitlin, everybody went over to 34 Fairview at the end of the night,
Yes.
correct?
All right, we're gonna jump ahead a little bit. Zoomity zoom.
Correct?
Yes.
You've talked about the timing of the night, who arrived.
The thing is, he needs to not die on this hill. He got enough out of it, and he moved on. Yeah, as a bartender, I can attest how frequently play fighting gets out of hand. I've seen bouncers go up, and when they see people play fighting, the bouncers just show up and are like, you guys have to stop this. And the reason why is because they want to stop it when it's play fighting and not when it's fist fighting or kung fu
When
fighting.
people arrived at 34 Fairview, when people arrived at Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
No, those really aren't details we discuss. I mean, everybody kind of knows when they came and when they left. We talk more about, living with everything that we've gone through.
Well, what about on the morning of January 29th, when everybody was still in that sort of friends and family gathering inside 34 Fairview?
When I was there with my husband and sister and brother-in-law and, then Brian's friend and Julie Albert, I was trying to piece together what had happened. They were all being supportive. They had no idea what happened. We were just kind of sitting there in utter shock, waiting to hear from Kerry about John. It was nothing more than just us being together and trying to figure out what had happened. I had gotten a phone call from Karen to help her.
And during
here's
that
where I am.
conversation, or that series of conversations, you were sharing what your observations of that evening were, what your story was, how the evening started, how it ended for you, correct? Or the morning ended for you, correct?
No, I'm not correct.
During the time that you folks were inside the house discussing this, there was no law enforcement agent or officer inside that house, correct?
Correct.
So the entire family and the friend network that we're talking about, with whom you discussed all these events, everybody was entitled to and did coordinate their statements without any separation and without any law enforcement oversight, correct?
I was with my family, my sister, my brother-in-law. It wasn't really a big group of us. As I've mentioned, I had 5 or 6 people.
This was a big deal in the Rust, in the Rust trial as well. Here's the thing. If you are, if you witness a crime, you really, they should separate you. And they do this on purpose. So she's going to weasel so hard about this. And what is it? How would you cross her since she's so evasive? I've heard the phrase, do you deny it? But I think she would just say she doesn't know. One of the things you can do when you're cross-examining an evasive witness is just let them evade and evade and evade and evade to a point where it starts to look ridiculous. I have had people like refuse to admit what their job is. I had a witness who was getting so evasive. I was like, let me ask you a different question. You know, you work as a plumber, right? And they're like, well, not always. Like, okay, do you currently work as a plumber? And they're like, well, sometimes. I'm like, what do you mean by sometimes? Well, I'm not always plumbing. It's like, okay. Do you work full time? Do you work like an 8-hour day? Yes. And you work 5 days a week? Yes. So when you say you're not always plumbing, you are like, sometimes you go to sleep and stuff like that. And they're like, well, and other things. At this point, the judge is sitting there and they're going, all right, I know everything I need to know about this witness, right? Like, this witness is a lying sack of shit. And a jury can similarly be like, yep, this witness is garbage. So that's one approach. The other thing is that sometimes you've got something that you can just nail them on. Like, you can catch them in an inconsistency and then you can impeach them hard. So that's, and one thing I don't think Jackson did all that well today was impeachment. He did all right at letting Jen McCabe look like a Weasley sack of crap, but he didn't really land the impeachment, and a lot of the time will cause an issue. And yeah, here's the problem. The do you deny it? It's a good strategy. Like, do you deny this? But the do you deny it doesn't work when you've got somebody who, you know, they'll just say, I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. You know, so yeah. Yes, we're in cross right now.
I was in shock. I didn't know what had happened. They were just asking me what happened.
And
Questions like,
and that's exactly what she would say to do you deny it? I was in shock. I don't know what happened. You know, so yeah.
that, and I absolutely told them, but it was no story. There was no us being allowed to do it. That was my family. They were just there with me. Like,
But nobody was separated by law enforcement, correct?
I don't believe there was a reason to separate us.
Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you if there was a reason. Were they separated or not? Answer the question. Y'all been asked, because you are just weaseling.
Notwithstanding what you think was the reason, you're not a professional investigator, correct?
I'm not, no.
You're not a trained investigator.
No.
You're certainly not a homicide detective, correct?
No.
None of you witnesses were ever separated, were you, that morning?
There was no reason to separate us.
I'm not asking you if there was a reason, okay? I'm asking you whether or not factually anybody was separated in that house. Or was everybody allowed to talk amongst themselves?
I was with my family. We didn't need to be allowed.
Okay.
You weren't separated. Answer the freaking question.
Witnesses separated from each other. The family, who are witnesses, were they separated from each other? By law enforcement.
At that point, I don't think anyone but myself and Matt were maybe even witnesses.
Okay. I'm not asking you what your determination of who the witnesses are.
Mhm.
I'm asking you whether the folks in that house were separated by law enforcement before you were able to have discussions about the events of January 28th and 29th. That's a yes or no question. Were you separated or not?
At one point, when Mike Lank was in the house, he had separated and talked to Nicole, then Brian, then Matt.
And then he promptly left and left.
But the thing is they weren't really separated because they're allowed to talk to each other when they're not talking to the person. So, yeah.
Everybody in the house together, correct?
He left us, yeah.
Right. Nobody was taken down to the station, is that right?
No.
As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor didn't even come over to 34 Fairview, the scene of the incident, to interview you, correct?
I asked him to meet at my house because I had to go home to my children.
And he accommodated you, didn't he?
He did, yes.
And he accommodated the fact that Brian Albert escorted you to the house for your interview, correct?
Brian didn't escort me, no.
Well, he went to your house at the same time that Trooper Proctor was there to interview you, correct?
He came at some point, yes, by himself.
Before Trooper Proctor did the interview.
I'm not sure if he was there, if he got there before or when he arrived.
You've testified in the past that
Yes.
Brian Albert came to your house alone. I don't mean you came in the same car.
Yes.
They followed you over to your house before Trooper Proctor ever got there. And he was in the house while Trooper Proctor conducted his interview, correct?
Yes, Brian was
All
in
right.
the house for the interview.
Thank you. You've already indicated that you have been discussing this case with certain other witnesses, not for days or weeks or months, but literally for years, most specifically Carrie Roberts, correct?
The case in general, yes.
Just before Carrie Roberts testified at a grand jury proceeding in this case, you were with her, weren't you?
I don't recall what you're talking about.
Do you remember being at the grand jury?
Yes.
You remember testifying at the grand jury?
Yes, the one back in
April.
April.
I think,
Yes.
2022?
Yes.
That sounds
Yeah,
right.
it sounds about right. Yeah.
You remember being there in an anteroom with some other folks?
What's an anteroom?
An anteroom, a waiting room?
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for testimony?
Yes.
You remember Carrie Roberts?
She's like, what's an anteroom? Well, it's the opposite of a room. And if it, if it impacts a room, then both will get destroyed. Yeah.
Being with you in that exact same anteroom?
Yes.
And that was right before her testimony, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
So, in answer to my question, you two were together literally just before she testified at the grand jury, which was the first formal under oath testimony that she ever gave. Is that right?
Yes.
When she testified at the grand jury, was that before or after you two had gotten together and created this timeline?
We did the timeline right after John had passed.
So she testified, the answer is she testified after the timeline was created, correct?
Yes.
Brian Albert and his family had a dog on January 29th, 2022, did they not?
Yes, they did.
What was that dog's name?
Chloe,
What kind of dog was Chloe?
German Shepherd.
Was it do you know if it was a purebred German Shepherd or a mix of Malinois and German Shepherd, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Big dog,
Yeah, good sized dog. Yeah.
70-pounder.
I don't know its weight.
Wasn't a little munchkin dog, it was a
No,
full-size German
it's a
Shepherd.
full size. Yeah.
Potter is not a little munchkin dog. I love the little munchkin dog discussion. It's not a little munchkin dog. Yeah, let's.
On the morning that you described going into the house, January 29th, 6:40 a.m. or so, you indicated that you burst into the bedroom to wake your sister and Brian Albert. Is that right?
Yes, I went into the bedroom.
It's still dark out, correct?
Yes.
There had been relative chaos on the lawn for a number of minutes, from about 6:10 until at least 6:40. When we went in, there were still emergency vehicles with lights on and engines running. Chaos, relative chaos, bedlam, as somebody has said, on that front lawn, correct?
Was more on their side lawn and down the street, kind of like all the cruises. A lot of them were behind their lot.
Right in front of 34th, correct?
To the side, in the side yard of 34 Fairview. Yes.
And on the lawn of 34th,
Yes.
where
She's got to fight over every single thing. And oh my God, it makes me want to.
responders were responding, correct?
Yes.
And you said my client is screaming to the top of her lungs, is that right?
Yes, she was.
And Carrie Roberts screaming back at her?
Yes.
Shut up or shut the fuck up, right?
Yes.
Then at 6:40 a.m., under the cover of darkness, you walked in the front door of the unlocked front door of Brian Albert's house, correct?
I went into my sister's house, correct?
It wasn't Brian Albert's house?
And Brian Albert. Yes, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's the key thing there.
You then climbed the stairs up toward the bedrooms, correct?
Yes.
You walked into the bedroom door where Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, according to you, were sleeping. Is that right?
Yes.
So you would agree that you unexpectedly, in terms of their view, unexpectedly walked into their house basically in the middle of the night, middle of the morning.
Yes.
You indicated that when you went through their bedroom door, you sort of burst through, correct?
I opened the door. I don't know if I used the word burst.
You previously indicated that when you went through the door, it was chaotic because you were so amped up from the events. Is that right?
I don't know if I used those words.
Would you say that you were loud or quiet?
I think as I explained earlier, I was like where everything was going on around me. And I was kind of like in just a state of shock. And I remember thinking, I don't want to startle them, but I have to wake them up, because obviously when I wake them up, they're going to be panicked and think something terrible happened.
Well, why didn't you want to startle them? Something terrible.
So you can remember these exact thoughts, but you can't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. Do you know how you got here? Like, are you aware of where you are right now?
That happened.
I didn't want to give them a heart attack when I woke them up.
But you didn't walk up and just nudge them and say, hey, Nicole, honey, can you wake up? There's something we can talk about. You didn't do that.
No, I was like, Brian, Nicole, wake up, wake up.
Okay, exactly. But you weren't saying it in that voice either. You were saying, Brian, Nicole, get up.
I'm not sure if it was that loud, but I definitely was. You definitely like trying to wake them up. Yes.
She's got to argue
What was the
over
dog's
every little thing.
I don't recall seeing the dog.
So, according to you, to the dog at least, we can get in the mind of a dog, a relative stranger walks in the front door, climbs a set of stairs, the house is completely dark, walks into a bedroom door and starts barking. The person starts barking, get up, wake up, Brian, Nicole. And you don't remember seeing or hearing a dog at all. Objection.
Sustained.
All right, let's just talk about what my dogs would be doing. My dogs would be losing their freaking minds.
As you indicated, it's not that the dog wasn't reactive, it's that you don't remember the dog even being there, correct?
I have no memory of the dog, no.
But you do know that dog sleeps in Brian and Nicole's room, correct?
It may, I don't know for sure.
Arguing over every.
The reason you don't remember the dog being there is because the dog wasn't there, was it?
I don't remember the dog.
Right. So when you walked out of the room, when you walked in the house, didn't see the dog?
No.
When you walked up the stairs, no dog?
No.
Walked down the hallway, no dog?
No.
Walked into Brian and Nicole's bedroom door, no dog?
I don't remember seeing the dog.
I realize that.
Mhm.
Dog or no dog? No dog.
I don't remember seeing the dog. It doesn't mean it wasn't there or it was there. I just don't remember seeing it.
Well, no dog came up to you and barked at you, correct?
No.
You didn't see or hear a dog whining or howling, did you?
No.
You didn't hear or see a dog scratching at the door?
No.
There's no sign of a dog at all in Brian and Nicole Albert's house at 6:41 a.m. when you walked into that house, correct? Or 6:40?
I don't remember seeing the dog.
And this was a 70-pound German Shepherd, correct?
I don't know the weight of the
Have
dog.
you ever heard a description given about that dog by Brian Albert? Anybody else? That dog was not good with strangers. Did you know, as you said, you're very, very dear friends, and obviously dear friends with Brian Albert, relations with Nicole Albert, your sister. Are you aware that dog was not good with strangers?
Object.
Do you know that?
I don't. It wasn't good with other dogs is what I knew, so I could never bring my dog over there. That's all I know about the dog.
Right. Had some aggression, correct? At least with other dogs.
Possibly.
Possibly with other dogs.
Yeah.
That's our next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you could remind the jurors, in your memory, who was the last person to leave the house, 34 Fairview, on the early morning hours of January 29th?
I believe Caitlin left after us, my niece.
Thank you. At some point, we've already talked a little bit about this. You said you looked out the front door glass. Was it a window or is the whole door glass?
The whole door was glass, I believe.
Is it like and pardon my ignorance, is there like a wooden door that is open and there's a storm door that's all glass that was closed? Is that what we're dealing with?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mhm. Can we take one more glance? I'm going to back up for a quick second.
Okay.
Can we take one more glance at that exhibit 3, with court's permission?
Okay.
Thank you. Can you enhance that just a little bit, please? Thank you so much. May I approach?
Yes.
Forgot to ask you, and I apologize, Ms. McCabe.
Thank
One
you.
more point of reference.
Mhm.
Can you please show the jurors where Brian and Nicole Albert's bedroom window is in that photograph?
Sure, it's right there.
Uppermost left window, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Go.
let me get back on track. You indicated that you looked out that storm door and saw Miss Reed's vehicle, her SUV, directly in front of you, correct?
Yes.
That was the first time you noted or clocked that SUV being there?
First time, sorry.
The first time you noted the SUV, in other words, that you visually saw it, it was directly in front of you. It was not back by the mailbox, correct?
Correct.
Did you still see the Jeep parked back by the mailbox?
I looked out the window. I saw the car. I really didn't pay attention to details of other cars. I just looked and saw her car.
When you first looked out that window and saw, or looked out the door and saw the SUV, what time was that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Does the time 2:23 a.m. sound familiar?
2:23?
I'm sorry, 12:23. My mistake.
I'm not sure.
When you looked out the door, did you see any other vehicles at that time, other than the Jeep, other than Miss Reed's SUV?
I believe I saw lights. Oh, sorry. Lights like over here somewhere. If the Jeep's there and the car, is there.
Okay, can you describe for the record what you did? The theirs don't come across on the record.
Oh,
so
sorry.
to your left
Yes.
is
Straight out would be Miss Reed's vehicle that I looked at.
okay.
I kind of looked at that. I remember my peripheral vision seeing lights over there to the left. Sorry.
All right. So the way that you're describing this, and that's lights to a vehicle, correct?
Yes,
Matter of fact, you know what vehicle that is.
I do. Yes.
What vehicle is it? Describe it for the jurors, please.
It's Ryan Nagel's.
Ryan Nagel's what? Car, truck?
I believe he has a truck.
Okay. So what you're describing is you looked out the window, you saw Miss Reed's SUV directly in front of you. Right behind that, in line, was Brian Higgins' Jeep, and behind that was Ryan Nagel's truck. Is that right?
I'm not sure where his truck lines up. I just remember seeing lights. I just quickly saw Miss Reed's car and went back into the room. I wasn't, I apologize, paying attention for like specific details about cars.
At some point, you did become interested in exactly what time Ryan Nagel's truck arrived, correct? This is after the fact, well after the fact, months after the fact.
Yes, I did.
As a matter of fact, you took it upon yourself to ask Julie Nagel, Ryan's sister, to send you something, correct?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her to send you?
I ran into the two of them.
I didn't ask you who you ran into, just what did you ask her to send you?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. A text message.
A screenshot of a text message.
Yes, a screenshot of a text message between Julie and Ryan Nagel.
You knew at the time that Miss Nagel, very obviously, was a percipient witness in this case, correct?
She doesn't know what percipient means. Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm missing a question here that apparently is, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it'll come up.
I believe so. It was very early on.
Oh, I mean, she was in the house. Mr.
Yes.
Nagel. She was in the house when Miss Reed's vehicle appeared, correct?
Correct.
She was in the house when...
How can looking up Haas Long do it for you? Therefore what? Well, then if she looked up Haas Long to die in the cold at 2:27, then the obvious conclusion is A, she's lying about it because she specifically denies that, and B, that she had to be aware that somebody might be dying in the cold at that time. It's not like she's looking up, it's not like looking up a murder technique. It's looking up, hey, did we accidentally kill this person? And the thing is at the timeline, she says that she's not supposed to know that there's a, that there's a murder going on or that there's anything going on. She says she doesn't know shit at that time. So if she's Googling it, then she is a liar. So, yeah. Ian, give me control of the chat. I can take over from here. The people want to hear my voice. I mean, you're free to say things. So, yeah.
You were looking at the vehicle.
Correct.
She was in the house when everybody came home came to 34 Therapy from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
Correct.
She was interacting with those inside the house, the very time we're talking about, right?
Yes.
She went outside at some point to talk to her brother outside the house, right behind the SUV that you're describing as Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes.
So you knew that she was, and you knew all this when you asked her for that screenshot.
I was trying to piece together.
You knew all this when you asked for the screenshot. You
Yes.
knew what her position was in this case, correct?
She had no involvement. What happened outside
I didn't ask
is
you if she had
different.
involvement.
Every time she gets pinned, she starts like dodging. She ducks and weaves there, which, fair enough. All right, let's And the thing about the Haas long to die in the cold thing is that the prosecution thinks it's relevant because the prosecution thinks that Karen Reed asked to make that search. And if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander on that one, right? If making the Haas long to die in the cold would make Karen Reed more likely to be guilty, it certainly doesn't help Jen McCabe if she made that search. Villanova Law says, do you know many lawyers? I think Ian Runkle's the only lawyer I know who isn't rude. That is a very misplaced compliment, Villanova. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Anything you've been discussing?
Is the page available
I'm
before
sorry,
this?
just a yes or no. Does that refresh your recollection about anything that we've been discussing?
It's just what we've discussed. It doesn't really refresh.
So it does not refresh your memory. Next question.
I don't think that's.
It doesn't. The thing is, the judge just fills in the blank here.
We've discussed. It doesn't really refresh.
So it does not refresh your memory. Next question.
I don't think that's what she said.
That's what you
Yes, that's what I said.
That was her answer.
That does not refresh your recollection.
Objection.
That was her answer. Next question, Mr. Jackson.
The thing is, if it refreshes her memory, then you can, put it to her and so forth. But she's like, nope, this doesn't help me. It's very unusual that you would not have your memory refreshed at least a little bit by looking at this this thing. So, all right, let's jump ahead. We're skipping over the lunch break here, but also some other stuff. So, yeah.
Where to? At 12:20, all these are on January 29th, 2022, at 12:27:33 from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Here, exclamation point, question mark. Same date, 12:31 and 47 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Pull behind me. Same date, 12:40 and 31 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John's.
This is actually a moment that could go either way. We'll talk about it.
John O'Keefe's phone. Hello. 12:42 and 9 seconds. Text message from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Where are the letter U?
Okay, thank you.
Finally, 12:45 and 53 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Hello. I would offer the stipulation that those are correct times and dates and contents of the text messages between John O'Keefe's phone and Jennifer McCabe's phone on January 29, 2022.
All right. And that's what you're agreeing to, Mr. Brennan?
Yes, Your Honor, it's contained in the Celebrate report.
Okay. All right, folks.
So this is an important part of lawyering. This is really important because you can't be a dick about everything. And Brennan and Jackson don't like each other. They do not like each other at all. Not even a little bit. And, but still they're like, hey, Jackson's like, hey, we're just going to stipulate that these are accurate. Is that good? And Brennan's like, yep. 'Cause it's really important to actually just get along with, people sometimes in order to facilitate like getting the trial done. These are the kinds of ordinary stipulations that you've got to make. And yeah. Behind, but other law enforcement agency makes me think Men in Black. That would have been even funnier.
I told you yesterday about a stipulation when I talked about something in the front lawn. This is similar. So what you just heard, both lawyers agree that that's information contained in a Celebrate report.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I continue?
Yes.
At some point, you indicated that, and by the way, Ms. McCabe, at 12:27, it's now been stipulated to, you texted a single word, here, exclamation point, question mark, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You indicate that you saw the SUV move up after it was in front of the 34 Fairview residence. It moved up some number of feet, correct?
The next time I looked, it was at a different location.
Right. Now, you did not see the white Jeep move from the place that you originally saw it in front of the mailbox, correct?
I never looked out at the white Jeep.
But you never saw that move ever?
No.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Higgins, that Jeep was in the same spot while Mr. Higgins was inside the residence until he left, correct?
That's what I would assume, yes.
Okay. And you never saw him go out and move his car and come back in or anything like that?
I never did, no.
After you, it's fair to say that once you noted that the SUV, Ms. Reed's SUV, was in front of the location, you started paying some attention to it.
I went to the door a few times to look out, yes.
As a matter of fact, in the course of about 19 minutes, you went to the door no fewer than 5 times, correct?
I'm not sure if it was 5.
You've indicated in previously that for every time you went to the door and saw the SUV, you texted something, which are the texts contained in the document that was just stipulated. Is that right?
I did text 5 times, you are correct.
Okay, so it's fair to say if you texted 5 times, then you went to the door 5 times, if those were associated with one another. You walk up, look at the door, see the SUV, and text something. Here, pull behind me, where are you? Those texts, correct?
I remember going to the front door, seeing the car, and texting here. When I went to the door the second time, the car had moved up towards the flagpole, and I texted, pull behind me, because I thought, did they not know where to park? Did they think they were at the wrong house?
So my question is this. Every time you went to the door, you texted something.
I'm not sure that I did, yes.
Do you remember
I'm not sure that I did,
Do
sorry.
you remember a year ago testifying that every single time you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something?
Am I aware that I said that?
Correct, that you
Could you-
testified to that.
Could you show that to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Feral AF. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
think
on.
I
Yes.
skipped you,
Take a
but
look
I
at the
haven't read
highlight
all the
portion.
super chats yet.
And just read that to yourself.
Is there
when
one?
you're-
Oh, AJ's not on his best game today. Yeah, jury gets it though. I think that's about my read on this. Honestly, is that AJ is not doing his best, but hopefully the jury is looking at this going, she's a weasel. But I don't know. The jury might think she's just trying to be honest. You can't necessarily read the jury without watching them.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
I hope that Alan
Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your
Jackson's
recollection
gonna
about the issue we were just
hammer
talking
her
about?
more.
I see what's written down, yes.
Okay. Did you testify in answer to the following question? And as a matter of fact, you looked every single time that you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something, correct? Answer, correct.
I answered correct to that,
Okay.
yes.
So if you looked out, I'm sorry, if you texted 5 times, that's all I'm getting to, you went to the door about 5 times.
I'm not sure. I remember definitely going twice. And again, if I misstated or I said I went 5 times, 4 times, I apologize.
Well, do you think this testimony is in error?
No, I don't. I'm thinking with my memory, it was 3 years ago, and I'm thinking that maybe I wasn't clear on that detail of how many times that I went to the door.
And
What I
certainly,
can tell you I'm clear on is that I did go twice, and I saw it. I saw it straight ahead. I saw it at the flagpole, and a third time further up. I cannot say with certainty with my memory today that I was up at that door every single time. I'm sorry.
and by the way, when you testified, as you just saw,
Mhm.
that was a year ago, correct?
Yes.
A year earlier and a year closer to the event, correct?
Yes, it
So
was.
your memory would have been a little bit fresher then than it is now, a year later.
I don't think I can compare my memory then to now.
You can't compare your memory. Do you think your memory gets better with time or fades a
Sometimes,
little with time?
well, some things, unfortunately, I think about every single day with this case, the trauma of
Sure.
it and what I experienced and went through.
Alan Jackson fucks up here because he lets her speechify. He lets her speechify, and it's the wrong move. Jackson, you let her monologue. If you've watched The Incredibles, when the villain starts monologuing, you got to punch him in the face. And now you can't literally punch them in the face, but you got to interrupt them.
You can't compare your memory. Do you think your memory gets better with time or fades a little with time?
Well, some things, unfortunately, I think about every single day with this case, the trauma of
Sure.
it and what I experienced and went through. And there are some things that I am certain I will never forget. And I know for sure where the car was, and I know for sure I sent those 2 texts, but I apologize if I misstated. I went out more than I did. I'm just trying to give you what I remember today.
Let's talk about those texts and and you looking out.
Jackson screwed up there. Jackson should have. I think he should have interrupted her. I apologize. Thank you. Just I apologize if I. Thank you. We accept your apology and moving on. Sandy, please help me wish my husband a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sandy's husband. So, every time he tries to stop her from monologuing, Beg jumps in and says, "You got to let her finish her answer." She clearly wasn't answering. I don't think that Judge Bev would have been able to leap in on that. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on that. We'll jump up a little bit to here.
Point had gone. Had left, correct?
Correct.
So if I hear your testimony correctly, you saw the SUV in position 1.
Yes.
There was a text or something, or 2 maybe. Then you saw it in position 2. You went back to the door and noted that SUV had moved and it was now closer to the flagpole, correct?
Well, you've just asked 2 questions.
It had moved closer to the
The
flagpole.
first question is, you said I saw it and I sent a text or 2. I know I just said 1 here.
Okay. Then you saw it a second time,
Correct.
and now it's closer to the flagpole.
Yes, correct.
And there's texting going on. I'm not getting down to the minute of the text, but there's texting going on. You're sending texts.
I'm sending, yes.
Okay. Then you went back to the door a third time and saw that it had moved beyond the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
Then, according to your testimony last year, you went back to the door at least a 4th time to see that it was gone, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at bare minimum, based on your testimony today, you were at the door, looking out the window at that portion of either the yard directly in front of you, and in front of the house, or toward the flagpole, or beyond the flagpole 4 times, correct?
From last year's testimony, but what I remember today
No,
with
Ms. McCabe, that's not
certainty
my
is
question.
twice.
You need to let her answer the question. Answer your question, please.
Go ahead.
What I remember certainty is looking at it out front, at the flagpole, and beyond. I don't remember how many times I went up to the door. I was back and forth.
Right, but according to you, you saw the car in 3 different positions, correct?
Correct.
So that's at least 3 times to the door, correct?
Correct.
And you saw the car gone, right?
Correct.
3 plus 1 is 4, correct?
Correct.
So now you're telling us that you went to the door a minimum of 4 times and looked across that yard at the SUV, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You had a clear view of that SUV as you looked out that storm door every time you went to the door, didn't you?
It was dark and snowing, but I could see a vehicle out there, yes.
As a matter of fact, you've indicated that it was a clear view. There was nothing obstructing your vision.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Correct?
No, there was nothing but the weather conditions.
And you indicated that, and by the way, the blizzard had basically just started. There was a dusting on the ground.
It was snowing. It was accumulating.
Right, but it was early in the storm.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right. And when asked about whether or not you had a view, well, let me ask it a different way. In terms of your view of the SUV and the distance from the storm door to the SUV to that curb line, there was nothing obstructing your view. You had a clear view of that, a good view of the SUV, correct?
When I looked out the window, I could see the SUV in front of me, yes.
At no time during any of this interaction with the door, meaning going back and forth through the storm door, texting, looking outside, seeing the SUV in position 1, seeing the SUV in position 2, seeing the SUV in position 3, at no time did you hear any noise that was unusual, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't hear any screaming?
No.
You didn't hear any yelling?
No.
No loud voices?
No.
No foul language?
No.
You didn't hear a door slam?
No.
You didn't hear a verbal argument or a fight of any kind?
No.
You didn't hear a revving engine?
No.
You didn't hear the squealing of tires or the scraping of tires on pavement?
No.
You didn't hear a collision take place?
No.
Or a crash?
No.
Or screams for help?
No.
Moaning, groaning, as if someone was in distress?
No.
As you looked at the SUV the first time, you've already indicated that you had a clear view straight out.
Part of the problem here is that there's a lot to get through with this cross-examination. And the thing is she's like, I didn't hear shit. Well, shouldn't you have heard shit if there was, a killing going on outside? Shouldn't you have heard somebody suddenly revving their car into reverse? Shouldn't you have heard somebody getting smoked with, an SUV? Shouldn't you have heard all of these things if they happened? If they happened. All right.
The door, right? It's right in front of the front door as a crow flies, right? It's not at an angle.
Right there. Correct.
Okay. You also previously indicated that you saw tire tracks in the roadway.
Yes.
In that very, very light dusting of snow, the accumulation that you talked about, you saw tire tracks of some sort.
Yes.
So that's down on the ground, beyond the yard, somewhere in the roadway.
In the street. Correct.
You had a good view of those tire tracks as well, correct?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you were able to describe those as sort of almost a wave, I think you once said.
Yeah. Across the street. I could see it because of the street light that was across the street.
Okay. And that presented at least enough illumination based on your view. You could see the tire tracks in the snow.
Yes. Over to the left. Yes.
And you detailed not just the shape of those tire tracks as being sort of like a wave, but where those tire tracks were, correct?
No, look at this. Yeah.
Where did you see them?
I believe over to the left. If I'm looking out straight. Oh, sorry. Straight.
So if you're looking outside at the SUV,
I'll forgive her that one. I bump this thing all the time.
I'm just going to turn my back to the jurors for a second for perspective. If you're looking outside the door, when you say straight out, the SUV is straight outside. When you say to the left, you mean to the left of the SUV on the ground. That's where you saw the tire tracks.
Yes.
Like somebody might parallel park or something.
Kind of a wave. Yeah. I can't really explain what it was. I just saw it.
You weren't paying special attention. You weren't looking for tire tracks, were you?
No. When I glanced out, I saw it.
You weren't looking for anything in the roadway at that point. You just glanced out. There was something in your peripheral vision, and you made note of it.
Yes.
And the only thing between you and the SUV as you looked out was the lawn.
Correct.
There's no ditches or hills in that lawn. It's a flat lawn, correct?
I wasn't looking at the ground. I was just kind of looking like I am at you right
That's not my
now.
question.
He's not asking if you were looking at it. He's asking, was it a flat lawn? And this is a lawn you're super familiar with. So this should be an easy answer, which is, yeah, it's super flat. Super flat.
Straight.
You know that lawn. You've been in that house 100 times, 500 times. There's no ditches or berms or hills or mountains on that lawn. It's just a flat lawn, right?
I guess you could categorize it as flat. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can we-
Like, of all the things to fight him on, and she's fighting him on everything, fighting him on, was the lawn flat? I'm like, seriously.
Take a look.
Yeah, granted on the motion for Goat Scream.
Yes.
Okay. Can you take a look at that
Sure.
photograph for a quick second? Tell me if you recognize it.
I do. Yes.
What do you recognize that as being?
34 Fairview.
That's the same photograph with just a little modification on it that you saw a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that you mark this identification.
Okay.
Wish to publish?
Not for identification, no.
Your Honor, if I may, if it's marked for identification, I wouldn't object to showing it
Okay. All right.
as a chalk at this point.
Brennan is actually being reasonable here. Good for him. Props where they're due. Good for him.
May I publish?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go. Mr. Wall, can you make that? There you go. Thank you. What's depicted in that photograph?
34 Fairview.
Do you see the front door that you went in?
I do. Yes.
Can you point it out for the jurors, please?
Sure. Right there.
Okay. The one with the brick steps leading up to it.
Yes.
Now, with this perspective, can you point out the...
Holy shit. Can I just say, holy shit? If it wasn't gonna dox me, I would pull up a picture of my house. And just to compare and contrast. Because their whole, like this, they got this whole house. And I'm like, my house fits in this section right here. My entire house probably fits in either their garage or this little bit here, this sort of like whatever this is. This thing's a palace. This thing's huge. Do they have like a tennis court in there? Like, how do you get from one end to the other to this thing? Do you like, you know, if you have to get from the garage to the kitchen, like that's a big walk. And I'm like, so do you just get like a palanquin carried by your team of eunuchs to like take you across this house? Because that's freaking giant. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's three houses kind of welded together that really have no business being there. And the lawn looks awful, but it's, yeah. So, yep, this is big.
Side door.
Sure.
That looks like a screen door just to the right of the hedges.
Yes.
With that perspective, can you point out the garage door?
Or that one. Sorry.
That's just to the right of the window inside that recess of the home?
Yes.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately depict the lawn as it was on January 28th, 29th, other than the fact that it's different weather?
Right.
The shape of the lawn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll put that down this roll.
So what was that marked as, Madam Court Reporter? Thank you.
Your Honor, I would ask them to move that in evidence if we need to take a minute on that.
I'm not going to pull up the
That is my
Zillow
request.
listing because other people live
Is there
there.
an
And
issue?
it's not my business anymore.
No, I wanted that.
Okay.
5 beds, 4 baths, and 2,300 square feet.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You know how big my house is, folks? Chat. I just want to hear guesses. How big do you think my house is? As a lawyer. How big do you think how big do you think my house is? 1,200, 900, 750, 1,500. I have the measurement in square feet. I don't know what it is in meters. I have the measurement in square feet. Uh, 600. My house is small. We have a finished basement though, which it doesn't count. So I guess it's probably 1,200. But yeah, it's small.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
The first time you looked out over that lawn to the SUV, you did not see John O'Keefe, did you?
No,
I mean, the dogs like hang out with us on the couch and so forth. So yeah.
I did not.
He was not outside that SUV.
No,
He was not standing or sitting.
not that I saw.
He certainly wasn't on the ground, was he?
Not that I saw.
The second time you looked out and saw the SUV. Now the SUV is more toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes.
And you had a
Yeah, this is like apartment size. This is tiny. Although we do have a finished basement, so it kind of doubles that. But for some reason, the basement doesn't get counted in the size thing. So, yeah.
clear field of view between you standing at that door and the SUV. You've already described that view, correct?
I can see the SUV, correct.
Correct. And you can see everything in front of the SUV as well. couldn't you?
I just would go to the door and look at the SUV. I wasn't taking in all the surroundings of.
Right. But just like you weren't taking in the surroundings, specifically looking at the tire tracks, and you saw the SUV sitting right in front of you, you saw that through your peripheral vision, you know the tire tracks.
Yes, and that's lighted where around the SUV was very dark.
I haven't asked you about lighting yet. We'll get to that.
I'm
You know
sorry.
the tire tracks, even though you weren't looking for tire tracks, right?
Yes, I
You know,
did.
Something stood out to you in your peripheral vision. Just looking out. There they are.
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
That second time you looked directly at the SUV with no obstruction between you and the SUV, you did not see John O'Keefe standing outside the SUV?
No,
He wasn't sitting down?
no,
He wasn't lying down?
no,
You certainly did not see his body in the snow toward that flagpole?
no.
And you would have been looking directly toward that flagpole, correct? Directly.
I was looking at the vehicle.
Directly toward the flagpole, Ms. McCabe.
I was looking in the direction of the flagpole
Right.
at the vehicle. Yes.
Right. And you saw no body in the snow, did you?
I didn't look for a body in the snow.
I didn't ask you if you looked for one. You weren't looking for tire tracks either, were you? But you saw those.
I did see those. Yes.
And you did not see a body in the snow.
No, I did not.
John O'Keefe, 6'2", 216 pounds, brawny guy, big boy, right?
I don't think I'd refer to him as a big boy, but he was tall. Yes.
All right.
I don't think I'd refer to him as a big boy. He earlier referred to the Bryans as big boys, and you had no issue with that. But now you've got an issue with now you're taking issue with it. Okay. All right, let's jump ahead a little bit.
You testified last year, correct?
Okay.
Is that how you testified last year?
I'm not sure. I know.
Next question.
Would it refresh your recollection if you look at a copy of your testimony from last year?
I don't think looking at it would refresh my memory. I know I might have used different words, but the bottom line is I got out of the car, went behind the car, went over, and Karen had done that.
Mr. McCabe, I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your recollection of how you testified last year under oath? Sitting on that witness stand. I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your recollection to see your transcript from last year?
I don't need to see my transcript. I know what I know and I know what I remember. So
That's not my question. I'm not asking what you remember now. I'm asking how you testified a year ago now.
whether I said it was as we're fighting over silly words, whether I said as I got out of the car, we were there.
Words matter. They matter a lot.
Okay, so remember, Mr. Jackson, no comments. Ms. McCabe, can you answer his question?
Okay.
Do you remember exactly how it is that you testified last year?
I do not know.
May I approach?
Yes.
He's like, it matters. And she's like, nah.
Thank you.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection as to how you testified in substance last year?
I see what it says I said, but it's a little bit different than what you stated.
Okay, then let's walk through that. Did you indicate last year that as you got out of the vehicle, that's when you could see what Ms. Reed was doing with John O'Keefe, down to the detail of pulling her shirt up and pulling his shirt up to try to go skin to skin?
Object.
Why don't I see it side by side? Would you wait and get to Mr. Jackson, please?
All right, so they're going there. Chat, talk me out of buying a welder. Chat's like, no, we're not doing that.
And over to where John was. Answer, correct. Question, and you're getting out of the passenger side, and by the time you come around the car, she's already there. Answer, yes. Question, and when she gets over there, what, if anything, could you see at that point? Answer, she straddles John and lifts up his shirt, and then she lifted up her shirt and went to lay on him, and Ms. Roberts went over and she was removing the snow from his face. Is that how you testified last year?
Yes, that's how I answered the questions.
Okay. Clearly, you didn't indicate last year that it was whiteout conditions. You could see nothing of the kind, and you had to get, quote unquote, very close to him before you could see anything, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. It's the first word that's problematic, Mr. Jackson.
What was the first word there?
You could see nothing of the kind. You didn't indicate last year that it was whiteout conditions. You could see nothing of the kind, and you had to get, quote unquote, very close to him before you could see anything, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. It's the first word that's problematic, Mr. Jackson.
Yesterday, you testified that it was whiteout conditions. You had to leave the car, walk all the way over and get quote unquote very close to John before you recognized that it was even a body. Is that right?
Yes.
But last year, you testified that you were still at the car when you noted the detail of Karen basically giving life-saving aid to John. You can see that clearly all the way from the car. Right?
Objection.
Is that what you said, Ms. McCabe?
No.
Is there a reason, Ms. McCabe, that you might wish to improve your testimony this year than last year, over last year, with regard to the distance that you could see Ms. Reed engaged with Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
Are you trying to suggest, or improve your testimony to suggest, that you had no idea that there was a body there and nobody reasonably could have even seen a body there as you drove by?
Objection.
Is that what you're trying to say, Ms. Reed?
Ms. McCabe.
Okay.
Ms. Reed, no.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Not sure. I'll give it a shot.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to improve your testimony this year over last year to suggest that reasonably nobody could have seen where John was from the car?
I'm not trying to improve my testimony now.
You claimed on direct examination today, as a matter of fact, that Ms. Reed looked at you at the scene and said the phrase, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." She said it 3 times, very distinctly, according to your testimony, correct?
She did, yes.
That was so impactful that it had the effect of putting you in some sort of shock and horror. Is that right?
I was in shock the whole morning, but
He's remembering the quote, shock and horror. Yeah. He's remembering the quote.
that statement definitely was a lot.
And that's an incredibly memorable statement for you to have heard and now recount to us in this trial, correct?
Correct.
Something that you wouldn't easily forget or overlook. Is that right?
Something I wouldn't.
Something you would not easily
Correct.
forget or overlook. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
As a matter of fact, some might say it's the centerpiece of your testimony.
Objection.
Sustained.
Ms. McCabe, you testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, did you not?
I did, yes.
Before you testified, you took an oath, very much like the oath that you took before you testified in this case, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, correct?
Correct.
And that included the whole truth at the state grand jury, correct?
Correct.
That was only weeks, several weeks, but weeks after this incident, right? April 26th versus January 29th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Especially something as momentous as an admission from my client that she hit him. Would you agree?
Would I agree that she said that?
Would you agree that that would be fresh in your mind? Something as momentous as that. You wouldn't forget that.
I will never forget it.
You wouldn't overlook that.
I will never forget it.
You would not overlook that either, would you, Ms. McCabe?
I answer the questions I'm asked.
Can you answer the question that I just asked? You're not answer my question.
That's objectionable. That is totally objectionable, but funny as fuck.
Would you overlook that?
No.
And the reason you wouldn't overlook it is because it was so impactful on you, having heard that. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Take a look at that document. Tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I see it.
Is that a transcript of your entire testimony at the grand jury in April of 2022?
I believe so, yes.
You've reviewed it in the past?
I have read it about a year ago, yes.
You read it in anticipation of your testimony a year ago, correct?
Yes, I reviewed it.
Have you reviewed it in preparation for your testimony today?
No,
Or
I haven't.
Yesterday. Ms. McCabe, turn to the page or pages in that transcript where you recount to the grand jurors that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
She's like, how would I know what page?
This is over 227 pages.
Take your time.
How long did you say it was, Ms. McCabe?
227?
I'm not going to let her read 227 pages.
You reviewed it before, haven't you?
I reviewed it a year ago, yes.
He's like, so you know where it is. She's like, I don't know how to find it in 227 pages. I'm kind of with her on that one, because 227 pages, I don't know that I would be able to find it either.
You read the whole thing cover to cover, didn't you?
I skimmed through it.
One of the most important points in your testimony yesterday and today is recounting these jurors the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Objection.
To the form of that, I'm sustaining it.
Was it important to you to tell these jurors that you heard my client say, I hit him 3 times?
I answered the questions and I'm telling the
Was it-
jurors what I know.
Was it important to you before testifying today that you recount to these jurors the phrase, I hit him, coming out of my client's mouth?
Your client said she hit him, yes.
That's not my question. Listen to my
Was it
question.
important to you?
I'm
is the
sorry.
Was it
question.
important to you before you testified to tell these jurors under oath that my client said, I hit him 3 times?
As a witness, it's important to tell the truth and to answer the question you were asked.
And in point of fact, in your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, I hit him, did you?
Again, it's 227 pages.
Ms. McCabe, you were there. They're your words. I'm not asking you to rehearse
He's like, don't you know? Because you were present. And she's like, it's 227 pages. I don't know. So, yeah.
something. You were there. Did you tell the grand jurors that my client said I hit him?
I have testified a number of times, but I was there the morning of January 29th when your client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Did you tell that to the grand jurors?
I'm not sure.
It's because you didn't, did you?
Again, I'm not sure.
Ms. McCabe, you were asked in your grand jury testimony no fewer than a dozen times, 12 times, 12 separate times, you were asked to repeat words that my client said both before, going to, and at the scene at 34th Avenue that morning. Correct?
Objection.
Do you know the answer to that?
No.
You were asked multiple times what my client's words were that you heard her say going to and at the scene. Correct?
I was correct.
And you recounted those words truthfully and honestly at that time. Correct?
Correct.
Because you were under the same oath that you're under today.
Correct.
And things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now 3.5 years later. Would you agree with that?
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him is just as fresh today as it was 3 years ago.
Turn to page 190, if you wouldn't mind.
If it is, then why didn't you say it to the grand jury? Like, okay, all right.
For court and counsel lines 10 and 11.
Which lines? I'm sorry.
10 and 11.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
This is at 1.25, by the way. They're actually much slower than this in practice.
You recounted what Ms. Reed said to you over the phone to the grand jurors, correct?
Correct.
And what she said at 4:53 a.m. was, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Didn't say it. She asked it, correct?
She didn't say that at 4:53.
Did you testify that what Ms. Reed said to you that morning over the phone was, could I have hit him? Did I hit him?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Just wanted to verify a page number, Your Honor. May I approach?
Yes. Why don't you tell Mr. Brennan the page number?
I will, with each one. If you turn to page 192. Line 4. What did you tell the grand jurors my client said in that answer?
Foundation.
What are we talking about?
I'll ask it a different way. Did you answer a question on page 192, line 4, concerning my client's statement?
Did I answer a question?
You were answering a question, correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
All right.
I'm sorry.
And the answer that you gave to the grand jurors was, she said, could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, that's part of the answer I gave.
Turn to page 193.
I'd object.
So I don't want to have to see it sidebar. We need context in order for this to be admissible, Mr. Jackson. I have no idea what that said.
Your Honor, everyone, I can make an offer of proof at sidebar if you
Okay, why
wish.
don't you come to the
Sure.
And bring
She's
that-
like, I don't want to go to sidebar. And he's like, but we got to go to sidebar. And she's like, fine, sidebar. I hate you, Jackson, but sidebar. And now we see that he's been sent to the back of the room. Paul O'Keefe has been sent to the back. I'm guessing he misbehaved. Let's see, where are we at? Let's go to here. We're almost wrapped up, and then we've got super chats. So yeah.
There's a phrase, I didn't show up anywhere. Right.
Objection.
Sustained.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to approach the witness. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm being vague. I was just grabbing the report back. Sorry. May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
I want to draw your attention to the very early morning hours of January 29th, around 4:53 a.m. when you indicated you received that phone call from Kaylee's phone. Do you have that time and date in mind?
Yes, I do.
My client told you that John had not come home, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that Miss Reed at that point was awake and looking for John.
I didn't know what, I just knew that she was awake and screaming.
Right, because she was worried about where John was.
Objection.
Sustained.
You've been asked who you communicated
him
with first thing that
testifying.
morning
That's
after you
not allowed.
received that first call from Miss Reed. Is that right?
Yes.
You were asked by Trooper Prince in her formal interview. Trooper Prince interviewed you on February 1st, about 3 days after the incident, correct?
I met with a lot. I don't really remember specific days.
Do you remember a female trooper?
Yes, I do, actually.
In your house?
Yes.
Or I should say at your house?
Yes.
That was around 3 days after the incident?
Was it Tuesday, maybe? Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I think so, yes, if
Okay.
it's the one I'm thinking.
You were also asked at the same grand jury who you communicated with on the morning of January 29th.
Okay.
Remember that?
Not specifically.
Would it refresh your recollection if we were to take a look at a specific page of that grand jury transcript?
Sure.
Do you need a couple of minutes, Mr. Jackson?
I do, Your Honor.
So, jurors, why don't you stand up and stretch, okay? You can too, Ms. McCabe.
It's gotta suck to be a juror in these things. And where are we? There we go.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, I want to draw your attention back to the morning, later in the morning, after you're back at 34 Fairview, after the police have already cleared the scene, and you're back with your friends and family inside the home at 34 Fairview. we've already talked about the fact that the witnesses were not sequestered in any way. They were not separated in any way by the police. Is that right?
We were just sitting together with friends
Right.
and family. So yeah, no.
Everybody was free. All the friends and family that were in there were free to talk amongst themselves, which you did do, correct?
Yes.
All right. Everybody had the opportunity to say their piece and to listen to others say their piece as well.
We had conversations. It wasn't really nothing more than that.
At some point you did, I think you mentioned this on direct examination, you did reach out to Mike Lank. Is that right?
Yes.
Remind us who Mike Lank is in your world, in addition to being a Canton police officer, police sergeant, I think he was at the time. Who is he in your world?
He was just a local guy that I, knew, was friendly with.
And had gone to high school with?
No.
Was he ahead of you in high school?
We weren't in high school at the same time.
Got it. He was about 5 years ahead of you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. But you've known him or known of him from basically childhood or young adulthood.
Yeah, just knew him from around town.
At some point, you decided that you were going to call Sergeant Lank back to the scene because there was a piece of information that you wanted to provide him again. Provide him so he needed to come back again.
Yes.
Ultimately,
This is
you
just,
called him on a cell phone,
this is
right?
natural.
I did, yes.
So you were close enough that you had his cell phone number. He had your cell phone number.
No, I didn't have his cell phone number.
Where did you get that number?
I asked Julie Albert for that number.
So Julie had his cell phone number.
Yes, she did.
And Julie is Chris's wife.
Yes.
She was at the location.
Yes.
When I say the location, 34 Fairview that morning,
Yes.
as was Chris.
He came at some point. I don't know if he was there when I called Officer Lank or not.
As was Brian Higgins, correct?
Yes, he was.
He came back over to the location as well.
Yes, he did.
As a matter of fact, it was Brian Higgins who suggested that you reach out to Officer Lank.
I'm not sure if it was him who suggested it.
Someone suggested to you that you reach out to Officer Lank. Is that right?
As I was sitting there remembering things, I believe, I can't say who did or didn't.
So as you were sitting there remembering things, you weren't just remembering things, you were remembering things and then telling others things that you remembered.
Oh, absolutely.
And the thing is like memories that come up after the fact are inherently suspect. Just inherently, they are potentially bullshit. So when she says like, I remembered all this stuff afterwards, I'm like, did you though? Did you? All right, let's look at a moment where I think things actually went quite badly for him. And it's right
Ms.
here.
Reed saying anything about a cracked taillight in one of those two initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember all the things that I told Officer Lank.
And you certainly never mentioned that Ms. Reed said anything about could I have hit him in either of those initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember my specific conversation with Officer Lank.
So you don't remember the conversation that you had with Officer Lank when it was the clear light of day. You'd had a chance to take a beat and a breath, catch your breath, because it's now 11 o'clock in the morning. You don't remember anything about that conversation. But according to your testimony, you remember in detail what my client said, waking you out of a dead sleep, correct?
So I didn't speak to him at 11:30. It was earlier in the morning when he came back to Fairview.
Let's call it 9 o'clock, whatever.
Okay.
Right? Whatever. It wasn't the same chaos as my client screaming into the phone that John never came home, waking you out of a dead sleep, correct?
Correct.
But when you recounted that conversation or those conversations to Sergeant Lank, you didn't say a thing about Ms. Reed saying that there had been an argument, did you?
I'm saying I don't remember the specifics of my conversation with Officer Lank. I'm also saying that I was woken up out of a dead sleep. Karen showed up at my house screaming. I went out to help her look for John. And then we found one of my closest friends on the front lawn. And she was saying crazy things and acting crazy and
Ms. McCabe,
acting
that's not my
erratic.
question.
And so every
Ms. McCabe,
police
that is
officer
not my
that I
question.
spoke to,
Let her finish.
every police officer.
Why is the letter finish? This is completely unresponsive. And yeah.
Call it 9 o'clock, whatever.
Okay.
Right? Whatever. It wasn't the same chaos as my client screaming into the phone that John never came home, waking you out of a dead sleep, correct?
Correct.
But when you recounted that conversation or those conversations to Sergeant Lank, you didn't say a thing about Ms. Reed saying that there had been an argument, did you?
I'm saying I don't remember the specifics of my conversation with Officer Lank. I'm also saying that I was woken up out of a dead sleep.
Okay, that's the question. Like, that's the answer. Everything beyond that is, yeah.
Karen showed up at my house screaming. I went out to help her look for John. And then we found one of my closest friends on the front lawn. And she was saying crazy things and acting crazy and
Ms. McCabe,
acting
that's not my
erratic.
question.
And so every
Ms. McCabe,
police
that is
officer
not my
that I
question.
spoke
Let her
to,
finish.
every police officer that
The letter finish is like, no. No.
I spoke to, I tried to answer their questions the best I could. It took me hours and in some cases days to remember all the things that Miss Reed had said. My mind, I was in a state of shock. But the minute I
And
remembered,
horror.
she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. I called Officer Lang.
And your memory's getting better, even as we sit here today, correct?
There are certain things I will never forget, Mr. Jackson.
Including the fact
That there's certain things I will never forget. I think she says that 3 times today. That line just keeps coming back. It feels like a rehearsed line, like the way the first trial they had the I wish I had when, or I wish he had with, John O'Keefe. And this one, it's this.
that you never, ever said, she said the words I hit him to a grand jury when you were asked about it 3 months after this. Right?
She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit
You
him.
never told that to the grand jury, did you?
I don't remember specifically that every grand jury and everything I said, but I can tell you with 100% accuracy, she screamed, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You never said that to the grand jury.
I don't recall if I
You were
did.
there to get the truth, correct?
The truth is, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You were asked that specific question at the grand jury. What did she say at the scene in front of the female EMT? And you know what your answer was? You do, because you just read it.
I wasn't asked what she was said
What
at the
was the
scene.
answer to that question?
I'm objecting.
The objection sustained. Ask one more clear question, Mr. Jackson.
What was the answer you gave in answer to the question about what was said by Miss Reed to the EMT, the female EMT at the scene? What did you say she said?
I don't know if I was asked specifically what she said to a female EMT.
All right, we're going to end this now.
Your Honor, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
I can't end it like this. You said,
Okay,
she
jurors,
said.
ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him in the presence of the female EMT? That's what you testified to under oath at the grand jury, isn't it?
Yes, because she also said that.
All right.
So folks, we are done for today. You remember tomorrow is the day that we're not in session. So we will see you Friday. Friday is a full day. And I have to give you those questions. You can stay and file out after the jurors disappear. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read about the case, please disregard it and let us know, and be very careful with your social media. Have a great night, a good day off tomorrow. We'll see you on Friday.
Goodbye.
All right. That's the day, basically. And so they come back. There's a little brief moment. I'm not going to play the brief moment at the end. The little brief moment at the end has basically they're like, okay, so we got to bring Jen McCabe back for more Jen McCabe. How much Jen McCabe do you expect we need, Jackson? And he's like, 2 hours. And she says, I'm not trying to rush you. Just how much do we need? Just for scheduling purposes. And he's like, 2 hours. And then they say, like, okay, Brennan, how much redirect do you expect? And he's like, 20 minutes. So, and then they're like, hey, do we have extra, extra additional stuff? So Turtleboy, I don't have a clean feed, and I don't want to rip off somebody else's feed, because then there's a real possibility I get a strike, or at least I make enemies, and that's not something that that I really want to do. So I'm not going to pick fights. We might watch the Turtleboy thing. I'm told we'll see. I'm sure that at some point soon we're going to have a short day or the like. Yeah, I saw people sent me the Young Jerks one. I don't know if there's another one out there. But it's also late. We'll do it another time. I'm sure there's going to be a short day soon that we can go over it. I'm sure there's going to be a day that they have nothing else. We'll go over it on one of those days. And yeah, I'm seeing people saying tomorrow is no court. So if tomorrow's no court, maybe we'll do that tonight. Tomorrow night. So we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to read the super chats. Let's go through them. Lucy, I might have missed it. You talked about the Turtleboy thing. Yep. Morgan, good evening, Ian. Thanks for keeping me company while I edit reams of monthly reporting to turn into the government in the morning. That's miserable. Just because I missed this, but we're going to roll the clip. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Sandy, beer needed for this recap. Thank you. Jim Jam, hey, open a beer. Thank you. Michael Deleted says, will you cover the Vancouver Rasa trial? I think that's Rage Against Society. So that was a guy in Vancouver drove a vehicle through a Filipino festival and killed, I think it's like up to 11 people. There's going to be a trial on that at some point. I don't know if I'll cover it. Maybe. So we'll have to see. Yeah. All right. E. Warner says, I can help a little. Thank you. Mayhem like Meg. Thank you so much. Evie, crack a beer for my healing ankle surgery. I hope that goes well. Lindsay, thank you for the super sticker. KPT to open the beer and also drink it. Thank you. Lithium J, beers. Thank you. Tough Cookie, grammar question. Is it always comes now, even when there are compound subjects? It should never be comes now. Sushi, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Leandra, thank you, Runkelarians. Runkeltarians, you provide a familiar face when life is topsy-turvy. Make sure to love those while you can. F cancer, F bipolar. I am sorry. That sounds like a sad one. And yeah. This weekend, I'm going to try to make it up to the land, though, to plant some cranberries. That should be fun. Better Out did a good interview with Nurse Kim today. Good for him. And good for Nurse Kim. So, Jojo came for the law, stayed for the snark. I got to get some sleep today. I'm feeling it. Donna E, loving your recaps, always entertaining. Thanks a bunch. Thank you. Marvin CZ, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Sean V, newbie here. What is your opinion on the ruling against the CCFR in their FCA challenge? And what arguments would you have made differently? I thought they did a good job. I don't think I would have made arguments too differently. I thought they did a very good job. It's just that they had an uphill battle. I will do a video covering it and breaking it down soon. It's just going to be a lot of work. Phoenix Paw, Runkle, don't insult potatoes by comparing them to Canton recording equipment. That is true. Potatoes are useful. Unseen King, today was just insane. It was. Escaped Psychotic Felon, send help. I'm a boxer's chew toy. That sounds like not a bad thing. Morgan, I hate that she shares my name. I even go by Jen. I am sorry. Dandy Daisy 5280, thank you for the YouTube membership. Much appreciated. Excuse me, I think her response is pretty normal. I had to call 911 when my husband died in my arms. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was very calm. I fell apart as they brought him to the ambulance. Before that, I was busy with CPR. I am so sorry. Diamonds and Doggies. Question, Ian. If a defendant knows they're innocent, why do so few take the stand? Because taking the stand is dangerous, even if you're innocent. Doesn't it help to tell their version of events? It does, unless you get tripped up on cross-examination and they make you look like a liar, even though you're innocent. Even though you're innocent. I should do a stream with Nurse Kim. We should make that happen for sure. Annabelle Feinstein, if she's at her sister's house, why not on the Wi-Fi? Totally missed the officer down idea. If someone thought Karen Reed hit him, why allowed to leave? Was Chloe crate trained? Why was the door unlocked? Apparently she slept in the room with, with the family. So Patty Hoffman, pizza bones for doggos. I still got 2 pizza bones. I should give that to him. Black garlic on pizza? Yes, no. It depends what else is on the pizza, but potentially yes. Mostly harmless fuzzball. Nothing like the prosecutor inducing testimony, admitting to collusion between witnesses, right? Yeah. The world wonders. Cops, incels, and Ferengi use female like that. Yes. But you repeat yourself. Caitlin Albert testified that last time she took Chloe with her when she left 34. Made me think even more that Chloe bit John. Hide the evidence. I think that's where the defense is going here. Jen loves wine just because the doggies need pizza treats. Thanks for streaming, Runkle. I'm going to give them the treats. Zora, by the way, was super cute last night. Super, super cute. And I say that because it was late and Zora came up to the door and she like sat there and she's like, when are we going to bed? I want to use your legs as a pillow. When are we going to bed? So yeah. I don't mind the calm. I do think it's sketch for her to fight that hard on cross. AJ could ask her if the sky is blue and she'd say, I don't recall. Yeah. Or could you show me the sky? Sergeant Bukaki's tainted evidence. Objection. That's not how you say my name. Morgan, I'm actually inclined to give her a pass on female. My dad was a fireman. My ex was a cop. They and I use female as a descriptor regularly. Fair. Ms. Squirrel, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. We see pause, bone, pause, bone, pause. Thank you. Ms. 86 Scorps, thank you. Much appreciated. Cal Marie says, number 10. Thank you so much. AKA the cat lady. I'm late. Have we discussed that every time Jen looks at Hank, he objects and Bev sustains? It's like clockwork. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell where she's looking. Canadian Nico, thanks for the recaps. Thank you. Henhouse Bath Company for the goal. Thank you so much. Lady Fang, how many people did she call in the 10 minutes she had the FBI waiting? I'm currently drinking a Mrs. Runkle special, Sprite and fruit juice. That is a good one. She also likes a paper plane, but made without lemon juice and instead made with orange juice. So Beach Rando, telephone, telegram, Jen McCabe. Let's see. AKA the cat lady. Did you notice the entire time Jen was talking about Chloe, she called the dog it? Not once did she call the dog she. I didn't notice that, but that is weird. Zora is a she. Potter's a good boy. Zera, my pupper, pictured, is getting homemade bread crust right now. Dog would do a better job as judge than Cannelloni. Yes, yes. Becky, it was the Men in Black. Kind of, yep. I bet those agents are a fun bunch of individuals. How to get yourself sanctioned as a lawyer real fast. McTrauma, thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Sergeant Bukaki's tainted evidence. I've stood all I can stands and I can't stands no more. Get Arca on making the Canoni Canoon forthwith and post haste for the good of the Commonwealth. It's going to be a while. The Commonwealth hasn't rested its case. M169, that pause gave Angela from Sleepaway Camp vibes. If you know, you know. I don't know. So, Anna 1001, so smart to do this FBI thing in the beginning of Cross. It shook her. It did. AKA the cat lady. Funny that Jen was so helpful with the Canton PD and MSP, but she cuts off the FBI interview. Well, because she doesn't know they're her friends. Scorpion, grocery of at-home Taco Bell kits now in Calgary. Interesting. Megan Runzer, Superstore has Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme kits. Buy now. I have to go to Superstore. It's too late to go to Superstore right now. Ms. Pete, EDV explained Jackson is having issues because some evidence not admitted yet. Also, Mike Young Jerks has Aiden's court hearing listed. I will have to, I'm going to have to reach out to him and just be like, hey, are you okay with me using this? Steph B, thank you for turning off ads during the live stream. We all appreciate it. I turn them on afterwards if you're watching on replay. Phoenix Paw, Canton Brainworm strikes again. Thank you. No more pandas. If the jury truly hasn't seen her first testimony, this new persona worries me. Yeah, and they haven't. They shouldn't have. Chadwick Canuck, if Jen is aware of the Fed listening and investigating this case, why is she elaborating her lies? Well, because she's under oath. She's got to testify. AKA the cat lady. Jackson needs to ask why Jen wasn't in shock and horror, worried about the family in the house. Normal people would be terrified something happened inside. Yeah, that is true. Megan Tomlinson, I had a pit bull named Zora for 15 years. Great name. I agree. Great pup. Nikki Lewis, think this is true. Higgins took it at 1:30 a.m. ish. I don't know. Farrell AF, AJ didn't come with receipts today. How should he Friday? He really needs to come in swinging. Terrorized. Wouldn't the glass be foggy? It's cold out, hot inside. Yeah, fair. Zed says, is Bev's inappropriate comments reversible error? Probably not. Not at this point. Hans Gruber, Welder Fund. All right. Chris Mullen. Yep, I think we all need a scotch after this. Fair. Mindy Stapleton, you need a whole bottle after this. You're not wrong. Geraldine Friedrich, memories get better as you age in Canton. Who knew? Canton is a weird place. It's a marvelous kingdom. Glamasuse, Jen's memory gets very fuzzy when she's proven a liar. Her memory fails whenever she gets nailed. Peggy is pissed as Denise is. Yep. Michigan Farm Boy just jumped in. Andrea commented on the lack of AJ getting the impeachment into evidence due to procedure, not setting foundation, by asking if she denied saying the things. Yeah, that's part of it. If she denied, he could enter his evidence. Thoughts? Likely. He just was flubbing on the impeachment procedure badly. Emily Ippolito for the scotch and getting my ATF joke. Thank you. The right flux, good or bad for the jury to repeatedly hear the I hit him from AJ and Jen so much, ad nauseum, in fact, in one sitting. Won't it drill into their heads? Unless they get tired of it and think it's bullshit. So, yeah. Forgotten Tupperware for a bottle of Glenmoe 12 years. Thank you so much. Julia 543. Guess what? It's going to be May is 25 years old. Congratulations. Mackenzie Japelli, so happy to have been here for your coverage. Happy to have you here too. Buffy says, it just makes no sense that these two women conspired to kill their friend. It's just a garbage. Sorry, send your comment. I don't think they conspired to kill him. I think they conspired, and this is my theories on it, I think they conspired to cover it up after it happened. I don't think they planned that it was going to happen. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, I will try to do something tomorrow, given that there's no court. We also need a Runkle v. Canada leave application review. That's going to be a whole thing. We can do that. All right. Let's wrap things up. I will run I'm going to do something tomorrow, but I don't know what it is yet. It might be the Turtleboy hearing. It might be something else, but I need some rest, and I also need to do some other things. So I will catch you guys later. And, the song is 25 years old. Fair. Okay. And see you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And we'll keep covering this so long as they keep trying it. And hopefully they throw in the towel on that real fast. Good night, all.